Let me grab my notes here. I'm going to have to read a bit tonight, guys, just because most of this stuff I just found in the last 2 hours while I was going through it. The other stuff I kind of have off by heart now. I've done so much of this, but 2019 was the first depth dive that the Titan did. Oh, I love you comments. Do you watch soccer? Goat, I don't watch any sports. I teach primary, guys. Why couldn't the people just swim up? Kyle, they were like ridiculously far down. So the Titanic itself is 3,800 meters down. They would never have been able to swim like anything like that. Like they would have, the pressure and everything would have just killed them. Hi, Elise. I remember you from last night. All right, guys, I'm going to get started. So I think what I'll do, and I know a lot of you guys were on here the last 2 nights, but just for anybody that's new, I'll just kind of run through the story quickly and then get to the updates that I kind of found today. They've shared a few things, which is kind of interesting. I did some digging too. I looked into basically the certification, which it had none. Why that is, and kind of a couple of the press conferences that Stockton Rush had done. And I got some better pictures too of the sub that I found were kind of interesting. I found some video of the sub, the footage of the sub, but it's just from TikTok, from other people sharing it, and they have like music in the background and stuff. So I'm going to try and find like the original. I do know it was from a news broadcast, but I'm still going to work on that. Hopefully I can find it for tomorrow and I'll show you guys. Did you see where he changed parts since the first trip? I don't think I did see that. Hi, Kira. Yeah, guys, I have some mods on here, of course. Mods basically help me pin comments and screen out anything that's, nasty and stuff like that. They can block and delete and mute. But I'm really picky, Kira. Like I said, with my mods, I have to really know the person before I make them a mod, just because they have kind of control of my comment section. So honey, once I get to know you, then absolutely, yeah. But I do have to get to kind of know the people on here, and it's really just my regulars, the people that I've really got to know that I have as my mods right now. Yeah, I have some respect too, guys. My mods do mute if you're being disrespectful in your comments or rude or whatever, and get blocked, of course, if it's troll stuff. But yeah, anybody who does want to be a mod, like I know that it's fun when you're in people's rooms being mods, but once I get to know people and I see that you're a regular and stuff, then absolutely, yeah, I definitely will make people mods. Thank you, Max. Okay, so basically I just wanted to kind of do like a quick sort of like run through of what basically is going on with this. So for anybody that's just joined, thank you for the flowers, you guys. Oh, I forgot to look for you guys. Remember I said yesterday I'd look and see, you guys had gotten me to like 12th place in the dailies last night with all the gifts and tapping of the screen. So I said I'd pay attention and see where I was or whatever in the rankings for you guys. So I haven't checked yet. So let me go look. That's hilarious. Where is it? Ranking history. Oh my God. Guys, I was almost top 20 last night. It was 28% or 28th place. So eventually we will see what the bloody Canadian dailies does if you're in the top 20, but not just yet. We didn't quite make it, but anyway. Okay. So yes, so the Titan, so this is the Titan sub. It was off the coast of Newfoundland, where it went missing. It was going down to see the Titanic's remains. And as you guys know, it's off the coast of Newfoundland, but it's also off the coast of Massachusetts, Cape Cod. And it's out far, like it's in the middle of nowhere. It takes a good jaunt to get out there. OceanGate is the one that set this up. There's been some more media and kind of videos and info coming out in the last few days. One of the things that I wanted to share with you guys that I'll talk about now was, you've probably seen the video, but there was another father and son duo that, thank you, Kathy, that was actually supposed to be on the submersible, and they actually backed out. So they've done an interview now about why they backed out, and I guess it was his son. His son had looked into it, saw that it wasn't certified, and basically thought it didn't look safe. So they bailed. So he's got text messages. Oh, thanks, Rye. he's got text messages between him and Stockton Rush, because Stockton was asking him, you know, to go on the submersible, and he was interested. But as you know, he would have been paying $500,000 for he and his son to go on. So they were texting back and forth. Stockton Rush apparently even went out to visit him. And it's funny to note that he actually arrived in like an experimental plane of some sort. Just, again, he's like an adrenaline adventure junkie, and this is what he lived for, right? So yeah, so he arrived, tried to convince them to buy tickets and go on. And they did eventually say no. So they're kind of triggered a little bit, because they now realize they could have been the father and son duo that were actually on the Titan. Luckily they weren't. But yeah, another two took their place, and unfortunately they've all perished. So as you guys know, they were going down. They were about an hour and 45 minutes down into their descent. It takes about 2.5 hours apparently to get down to where the Titanic's remains are. We don't know if they made it the whole way down or not. It doesn't sound like they did. As you guys know, there was a catastrophic implosion. I can never say it. And all communication had cut off at an hour and 45 minutes down. So they're guessing that that's when the implosion happened. We will soon find out though. So as you guys know, I keep saying as you guys know, but if you were new here, you wouldn't. But I've been talking about this for the last couple of days. The Navy did hear the implosion on Sunday. So on Sunday, I found out what the system's called. Remember, they're kind of like secret squirrel about it. But there's an array of sensors out in the ocean, and they've been there since like 1950, apparently. The Navy has put them there, and it's called the IUSS, the Integrated Undersea Surveillance System. So they actually did an article, which I just finished reading, that the Navy put out, telling all the things that this system has helped with. Like, they've found missing subs before. They've located enemy subs that have come in, and they've found, I think it was a missing plane or something as well. So it picks up sound. So as you know, sound travels and really well underwater, apparently. So they were able to pick up the sound of the implosion on this array of sensors, the system that they have. So they did pick up the implosion. However, they reported it and they said it was indecisive. So they can't 100% say that's what it was. It just had all of the, markings of being an implosion. So they reported it. Then this gets called in saying that this is missing. So they immediately, when they joined the search, let them know that they had heard this on the sonar. So this is what the sonar and what they had picked up is how they were directed to the search area that they were in. So they ended up searching right above where they had heard what they thought was the implosion. They basically did a statement and said that the reason that they kept searching was if there was any chance of life at all, they would continue until, of course, they found the remains, the debris. So on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, everybody kind of got their hopes up. The Navy had picked up, or the search team, I should say, had picked up banging sounds coming Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Apparently, they reported the banging sounds were at 30-minute intervals. They got some more sonar equipment in 4 hours later, went back in, and it was still happening. They kind of made us all, unfortunately, assume that it might have been them banging on the walls or something, trying to get the, people's attention to where they were. Unfortunately, we know now that that is not what it is, because the implosion happened on Sunday before any of the search team arrived. The sounds are now being sent for evaluation with the U.S. Navy. Hopefully we'll hear soon what that was. But what they're saying is they think it was oceanic noises, which I don't know what that could be. Or, thanks, Ryan, oceanic noises. Or apparently they believe it could have been one of the other vessels that were there on the search, which is what I tend to think it could have been. But they didn't share with us that they had picked up the implosion on Sunday. So I think it really got everyone's hopes up. James Cameron has also done an interview, guys. If you missed it, it's very interesting. It's on CNN. He basically said that he was out on a boat when this happened. He was out on the ocean as well. He picked it up on the radio that this was going on. He did his research and was looking at, certain websites that had this, what's the system called? The IUSS, the Integrated Undersea Surveillance System. He went on and looked, and he saw that they had recorded the sounds of an implosion at the same kind of time that this had gone missing. So he said he was telling people, he was like calling people saying like, we've lost some comrades, they were going down to look at the Titanic. He assumed that was gone, but he even admitted that he got his hopes up and was a little confused when they had talked about the sounds and the banging that was heard. So apparently the banging had nothing to do with this. It was not sounds from the Titanic. They don't know yet what it was, but they do think it was either a vessel close by or oceanic sounds. We had a few things arrive on site. So one of the things was the FATIS system. And the FATIS system is like a heavy lifting cable and winch system with an ROV on the end. It was being sent out, and it would have been able to pick up the Titan if it was on the bottom or anywhere struggling. The ROV would have attached to it and hauled it back up. And as you guys know, this thing weighs 23,000 pounds. So the FATIS system can lift almost 60,000. So it was on its way out. They announced today, guys, that it has returned. So it will not be needed, as you know, because there's basically just remnants and pieces left of the Titan. It cannot pick up the scraps, the small pieces. I looked into that today, and no, it will not be able to. So it is left. However, they are continuing the search. The ROVs are still on the ocean floor. So the Victor 6000, and I think the other one's called like the Odysseus or something. Oh, thanks, Abby. So they are still on the ocean floor. What they're doing right now has just been released. They are making a grid pattern for the search. They are watching and checking all of the debris and the patterns the debris is in. They're trying to basically figure out a timeline of what happened and try and figure out and piece together what went on. They did say that they should be able to, with the ROVs, pick up any of the remaining pieces that are large enough to kind of look into and investigate. So if need be, they are going to pull some pieces up. But right now they're just scanning it and mapping it, and they're trying to figure out from the pattern of how it's all landed, what happened. Basically the big thing that I found today was that it's definitely being investigated. Everybody was kind of wondering, you know, what kind of trouble the company's going to be in. It doesn't look good, guys. So the Transportation Safety Board of Canada has launched an investigation into the implosion itself. So the Polar Prince was the mothership that this submersible was on. And I did look up the difference. So the difference between a submersible and a submarine is completely driven on its own. It can go into the water and go wherever it needs to and return. A submersible can't. It needs a mothership to carry it to where it's going, be put in and controlled. So that's the difference between the two. So the Polar Prince was the retired Coast Guard vessel that OceanGate had purchased to haul this back and forth from the Titanic site. So it has returned to port in Newfoundland. So it's just been reported today that it has left. It was like the center of the search at this area. It was like the I can't even think what the word is that you call it. Like that, it was the meeting area where everybody was heading the search from, but it has now left. So it has been called back, and a search has been started on it by the U.S. Coast Guard. Oh, sorry, no, by the Canadian Coast Guard. So the U.S. Coast Guard is now looking into the implosion. It's going to lead the investigation into the implosion. Also, the Transportation Safety Board of Canada is looking into it. And the mothership, the Polar Prince, has been returned to shore in Newfoundland. And the Canadian investigators are examining it now. So they're checking everything to see what the heck went on and what's going on. The search, like I said, has been scaled back now. So the Navy is completely pulled out. There's no more boats, planes, equipment, nothing from the Navy there. However, some personnel did remain on site to assist. But right now it's just all the equipment from the ROV. They're solely just doing like a recovery mission, looking for mapping out the ocean bottom where all the debris is right now. It says that I watched an interview from Will Conan. He was on CNN. So he is what is his job title? The chair of the Marine Technology Society's Submersible Committee. So they meet once a year. He said it's a really small committee, as you can imagine, but they kind of run it. And he said he has had numerous emails, phone calls with Stockton Rush. What they said was that the industry members that he's involved in, his whole committee, raised concerns about the Titan in 2018 and warned about catastrophic outcomes. So as you guys know from news reports, this turns out to have not been certified. So I did a bunch of digging into it today, and I figured out why it was not certified and the concerns that they had and why they just walked away and didn't bother getting it certified. They just basically said, we're not doing it. So they couldn't get certification, and so then they decided we're just not going to. So, oh yeah, we just shared that. So one of the things that was shared was, this is the kind of funny, in order to make things look better, apparently OceanGate on its website in 2019, it had its very first depth dive. And when they did it, they called out Lloyd's Register. It's a marine certification company called Lloyd's Register. They called it out. So this is the company they wanted to certify the sub initially. They called them to the launch site. It was not at the Titanic's site. I think it was in like the Bahamas. I didn't write that down. I should have, but it was somewhere else. And a representative arrived. So once the representative was there, they posted on their website and said like, oh, this dive was verified by Lloyd's Register. So Lloyd's Register has come out and said like, yes, we were there. They didn't comment on the dive, but they said we refuse to register it and certify it. So they've declined a request to certify the Titan. We didn't quite know why, but I have looked into it. And the Titan is probably worse than the Titanic sinking itself. So the fellow that did the interview, the chief of the Submersible Society, he came on and he said that there's only 10 subs in the world that can go down 12,000 feet or deeper. There's only 10 of them, and they're all certified except for this. The Titan is the only one that was not certified. So they repeatedly were reaching out saying, this isn't okay. Like, you need to get this certified. Apparently the laws are pretty lax in this area because there's only 10 of them. Yeah, I'll do questions in a minute, guys. I'm just going to run through kind of a little bit of the summary of what we found out today, and then I'll do some questions. So there's only 10 subs. This is the only one that wasn't certified. And basically it was being, or Stockton Rush, I should say, was getting a ton of contact from everybody involved in the sub, society saying, this isn't okay. You need it certified. And what I found out, was that he was defending the decision not to certify it. And this is what he was saying. He said that it could take years to get it certified. So he didn't want to waste the years. It could stifle innovation. So if you aren't aware, most of the subs and submersibles are made of titanium. And I looked up why they use titanium, and they said that it's more elastic, so it can actually adapt to stresses. So it shrinks and expands as it goes down. And as the pressure, so as you know, when a submersible or a submarine goes down into the ocean, the amount of pressure on it increases the deeper it gets. So with titanium, it'll have more give, so it'll accept more of the pressure. So he actually used a carbon, how did it get worded? Carbon fiber and titanium mixture. And apparently the carbon fiber is more buoyant. So that's why he wanted to use it, but it doesn't have the same, kind of reaction to stress on it. It doesn't stretch and kind of give a little bit like the titanium would. So basically it said that, it's much stiffer. It's not the same kind of elasticity. And the composite material, so putting the titanium and the carbon fiber together on this vessel, they think now might have been part of the problem. So they said that the material could suffer, and I had to look this up because I didn't know what it meant, a delamination. So when I looked it up, it said that a delamination basically means that it leads to a separation of the layers of reinforcement. So the more trips this took down, the more the pieces could have possibly separated from the carbon fiber and the titanium. And they're thinking maybe that's one of the causes. Thank you so much for the gifts, you guys. I see you tapping. So they're thinking now that could have been one of the causes of why this imploded and what happened. So another couple things that I wanted to clarify is a bunch of people were asking questions about like what happens in an implosion, what happens to the bodies, is there going to be like anything saved? I did like a deep dive. You should see the videos that I've watched on implosions. It's disturbing, but basically what happens is the pressure on this sub as it goes down increases, like I said. Instead of exploding from pressure, which is the pressure, of course, shooting out in an explosion, it's the exact opposite thing. So as the pressure builds, when it goes down, it implodes. So the pressure, thanks, Cody, the pressure goes inside. And basically they said that what happens is it becomes almost like a pressure cooker. If you have one of those, what do they call it? I can't even think what it's called. The pressure cookers that we use to make our meals. So you know how you put the lid on it? And inside all the steam and everything else builds up, and that's what ends up cooking your food. So basically when I looked it up, it said that's what an implosion does. So it said the inside completely heats up. They said it gets hotter than the surface of the sun, and basically the sides collapse. It all basically squishes in together, and everything kind of, this is disturbing, I'm sorry, but everything kind of goes out. It disintegrates, it liquefies, and it basically shoots out everywhere and disintegrates. So everything that was inside this sub, or part of this sub, basically just almost like liquefies, including the people inside, unfortunately. And there's nothing left except pieces and debris, and some of the outside parts that would have, broken off in the implosion, and sunk to the bottom. And I don't know how large the pieces are. We haven't seen this yet. But that's basically what happens during the implosion. It also said, however, that the implosion happens within a fraction of a second. And it actually, I watched a really good description of it. It basically said that an implosion happens in a fraction of a second, and it takes longer for our bodies to register pain and reach our brain than it does for an implosion to happen. So they absolutely did not feel any pain. They did not feel anything. It also said that an implosion happens in a quicker amount of time than it takes for whatever we're seeing in the outside world to reach our brain. So they wouldn't have even known it happened. They wouldn't have seen anything happen. They wouldn't have felt anything. There would have been absolutely no pain. It literally would have happened in a fraction of a second, and they were just gone. I've seen some people talking about that they dropped airbags and were heading, trying to get back to the surface. I tried to find official reports on that, and I have not found that anywhere. So I don't think that's true. I think that's either not been reported or it's false information. So I have not seen that. I've tried. If anybody has seen that in a news article or from any of the experts, please send it to me. Somebody, a few people have told me that James Cameron said it. I haven't even seen the clip of James Cameron saying that, but there has been no evidence of that I can find anywhere. Someone else mentioned a few times on my lives that there were shoes found. There were not shoes found. It's getting twisted. I did a post today on my page if you wanted to go check it out about the shoes. The conversation that James Cameron had about the shoes was about the Titanic, not the Titan. So he was talking about, it was an old interview that he did, that there are shoes on the bottom of the ocean. So basically they were talking about what happens to the bodies from the Titanic. And they said that the skeleton basically evaporates in no time because of the conditions and how deep it is down. And there's no remnants of people or bodies or anything at all. No skeletons, nothing. The only thing that's been left down there is shoes. And he said that it was notable that when they went down to look, the shoes are actually beside each other from wherever the person must have been laying in his final resting place. And someone else said it's because of what was coated on the shoes back when the Titanic sunk. So whatever material, I believe they referred to it as an acid that coats the shoes, that has sustained them, and the animals and creatures won't eat them. So the shoes are what's at the bottom of the ocean from the Titanic. It's not from the Titan. If you've watched any of the videos of the people getting on the Titan, they actually are required to remove their shoes when they get on. And guys, I watched a video, and I'm going to share it on my page in the next, probably tomorrow if I have time. It is so disturbing if you have any sort of claustrophobia at all, but there were several videos going around of previous trips and how they are bolted into this. So if you're interested, hit follow and I will update and post those. But basically what it is the front nose on this, the nose cone, that is how they get in. So the front nose cone actually lifts out. It's bolted on, and they open it, and their bathroom, which was, like I said, just basically like a bucket, like this kind of device with Ziploc baggies in it for them to use the washroom. It's actually right inside that nose cone, right by the window. Why they would put it there, I don't know, but that's where it is. So what happens is they open it up, they unbolt it, they open it up, everybody gets inside this can, and then they close it and they bolt it. And I watched a video of how it starts its descent. So they actually supposedly check it over, they put it in, there's divers in the water with them, and they go down a certain amount. The divers come and look in the peephole here and basically get like a thumbs up if everything's okay, and then they go down. So I will try and post that video. It was extremely interesting to watch. I also have a video I'm going to be posting about Stockton Rush doing a tour of the inside, and he talks about how he only wanted simplicity inside, that he didn't want anything complicated. which apparently might be why he used the bloody PlayStation remote or Logitech remote. But it showed him inside, and there was like one button inside that was up above his head. And he's like, this is the only button in here that people can push. It's this. There's laptops all around. There's 5 laptops for the guests, the tourists that go down. They actually view the Titanic from the laptops as opposed to out this little window. This is the only window that they can see. And the camera is actually set up in this window. So what they're getting on their laptops is what the camera's picking up from this porthole. So they can look out the window if they wanted to. And actually, I'll show you a picture now of Stockton Rush actually looking out of this porthole. But they do not view oh, this is so creepy looking. Here it is here. So this is Stockton Rush. This is not at the bottom of the Titanic. This is somewhere else when he was testing it. But this is him looking out and showing kind of how big the porthole, I guess, would be in comparison. But they don't get to see the Titanic from this. They watch it from the laptops, from the footage that they receive from touring around. So this is one of the new pictures that I had received, or gotten, I should say. One of the other ones is this. There. This one kind of gives you a better idea of the size of the submersible itself and what the window was. So there's no windows on this because of the amount of pressure as they go down. They could not put more windows. One of the problems that they talked about with this submersible, with it not being certified, was the fact that it was made of the carbon mixture and titanium, which has never been done before on a submersible. So that's why it was not certified. The gentleman that's the chief of the submersible committee basically said that they were pleading with him to test this and slow down. He said there was no other submersibles or subs built with this material. The carbon, what do they call it again? Carbon fiber. The carbon fiber has not been used on any of these materials. So when they ended up doing this, basically what happened was they went ahead and wanted to use this because it was more buoyant. And supposedly it would allow for more passengers to be on. So this is what they used instead. So now they're thinking that could be part of the reason that they got into trouble. So that, along with the window, they said that the window was not a good idea with the depth they were going. There were just multiple things that he overlooked. And basically, there's been several reports that he didn't care about safety and they didn't care that it was uncertified. I will start doing some of your questions, guys. I just wanted to give you that quick update and then we can chat. Would they have had an alarm go off to tell them something was wrong before the implosion? Joe, it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like there was no communication about anything that they've released so far happening right now on the sub. So we do think that the hour and 45 minutes down when all communications shut and ended was when the implosion happened. Yeah, if you don't want to hear about this, just scroll on. Thanks, Sarah. So apparently they died on Sunday. Yes. So we have absolute confirmation now that the implosion was on Sunday. The Navy had actually picked it up through a an old listening system. Apparently they have. It's called the IUSS, the Integrated Undersea Surveillance System. It's been there since about 1950, they said. It's been able to locate missing subs and things like that before because noise travels extremely well, as you know, even underwater. So that they picked up the implosion on Sunday at around the time that it had been going down. We just don't know the exact time yet. If it was the exact hour and 45 minutes they heard it or not, they have not released that yet. Is it true that someone told them that it wasn't safe? Yeah, so we've been finding, or I've been finding numerous reports. And actually I watched an interview today on CNN with the chief of the Submersible Society. And he shared a bunch of text messages and emails that he had actually sent to Stockton Rush, the CEO, saying that they needed to slow down, that this was not safe, and that they needed to get it certified. Elizabeth, thank you. Redbeard, welcome again, bud. Thank you for the gifts, you guys. And the tapping of the screen, it really helps get us out to the FYP, apparently. So yes, they actually absolutely have been warned. In 2018, it was also reported that one of the employees filed court papers to basically sue them and said that he was wrongfully terminated for raising red flags. He came on and said that he had safety concerns and testing concerns. Unfortunately, though, they did settle outside of court, so there's no record of that. We don't know what the information was that he was trying to report or share, and I don't believe he's stepped forward since. Do you think the video footage of the search robot will be released? Angie, I'm kind of hoping that it will, just so we can see kind of how it landed on the bottom of the ocean. I'm curious. I know other people are as well. Like, I don't know if they will do that with respect to the families and things. I'm not too sure. Thoughts on the jokes people are putting out. I'm having a hard time with some of them. I find that, and this is just my opinion, but I feel like because they were millionaires, people think that it's, free to basically make fun. Redbeard, thank you. Everyone, thank you for the flowers and things you're sending. I see you. But I do think that people think it's fair game just because they were millionaires, that the jokes are easy to make and they've been rolling out like crazy. I do think a lot of them are really tasteless. And I know some of them are humorous in nature, but I think people need to be mindful that, these 5 people just lost their life. People just asked about the Simpsons episode. Guys, what hasn't the Simpsons basically predicted, right? I think it was just another thing that the producers and writers of the Simpsons unfortunately got right. It's kind of creepy when you watch it back now. It went down to the Titanic a time before. Why didn't it implode then? It's actually made several trips down. I don't know exactly how many, but the first trip was the first testing of a deep dive was in 2019. And basically what they're thinking, I will try and show you, see if I have a better angle of the sub picture. But this, apparently the sub was made of a titanium fiber a carbon fiber and a titanium material. So what they've come out and told us now, is this picture better? Hold on, guys. I'm just trying to get a better picture. Actually, I'll just put up the one that shows kind of the clear outside of it. There you go. So basically, it was made of a carbon fiber and a titanium material, and it's the first submersible that has ever used this carbon fiber mixture. They think that because the mixture was like a composite, it was the two of them together to make it more buoyant, that I've got to get the word for this because I had to look it up. They think that what happened possibly was called a delamination. So basically, the more times it went down, the more wear was the more wear and tear on the material, and they think this delamination happened. So basically, they think that there started to be a separation of the materials, and that's what happened. That it just weakened the structure and imploded. That supposedly is what they were thinking. Do you think the first few trips weakened the hull, which caused the implosion? Kyle, personally, I do. They haven't come out to say that, but that's what the theories are looking like. I tried to find as many of the theories of what happened as I could, and that was the majority of the verdict, is they're thinking because Stockton Rush chose to use this carbon fiber in it, which has never been used before, and made it a mixture. So they said the carbon fiber isn't as stretchy, as elastic as the titanium would be. So titanium, apparently, I didn't know this, but has some elasticity to it under pressure. So it actually has some give. Thank you, Sand. It'll give and release as it needs to with the pressure. Supposedly the carbon fiber is stiffer and doesn't do that. So to have the two of them together just sounds like it was a bad mix. And unfortunately, that might have been what it was. Not good. Do you think it imploded? Yeah, Ella, absolutely, I do. They basically said that they found the debris on about 200 meters from the bow of the Titanic's remains. And the way that the debris was laid out, they could tell for certain that it was a catastrophic implosion. They said that the front pressure hull was in pieces, and they found a couple pieces that they could identify. And they basically said it was consistent with an implosion. A YouTuber went on mission 3, but they ended up not going because of weather. Mission 5 was imploded. Olivia, I think there's more missions than just 5, but I could be wrong. I haven't looked it up yet. But I know that there's someone who's gone on it numerous times. So I'd have to look it up. But I do know that weather was a factor in some of the missions. And I do know that a couple of missions, or not a couple, I should say one in particular, actually went down and then couldn't find the Titanic. They basically drove around for 2 hours. The mothership had given them the wrong coordinates, and they ended up not finding the Titanic remains, and they had to go back up. So kind of a wasted trip, unfortunately. Is there photos of the debris found? Alyssa, they haven't found any, I haven't found any pictures yet of the debris. I don't think anything's been released. I follow a couple news sites that are doing live feed postings of the situation. And if there was anything, I know they would have been posted already. So no, and I don't know if they're going to, but there's nothing. I do know that there is some TikTok videos going around with the PlayStation remote on the bottom of somewhere saying that it survived the implosion. That is absolutely false. That did not happen. It's just another unfortunate kind of joke that's going around. So people have been asking me if that's real. It is not real. No. I believe Stockton Rush's, oh yes, Dave says, I believe Stockton Rush's wife's great-great-grandparents died on the Titanic. Coincidence. Yeah, so I have read a couple articles about that as well. And apparently in the movie, The Titanic, if you remember, there's an older couple that kind of just realizes what's happening and they just lay on their bed and just kind of wait for it to happen. They're saying that that is actually based on Stockton Rush's wife's ancestors who were in fact killed on or died on the Titanic. So yeah, it's kind of a neat coincidence. And I'm assuming Stockton may have had some interest in the Titanic. So I'm sure he knew that his wife was, related in some way. Yes, they have all perished. There's absolutely no chance of survival with the implosion that happened. It was like, I don't even know how many meters down they would have been, at least halfway probably. So they were at least 1,500 meters under the ocean. Oh, thanks, user. Yeah, I'm no expert. I have just been doing deep dives. Like I have ridiculous notes and videos and pictures of all of this. I've just been really invested in this situation since it went missing for numerous reasons. But yeah, I just kind of have been digging into it. So I dig into it so you don't have to. If you are interested, make sure you hit follow and I'll be posting all the updates as they come. Do we know what the tapping means yet? If it meant anything. K9, so they have come out and said that they believe now that the tapping, the banging on Tuesday into Wednesday morning was in fact either oceanic noises, which I find that hard to believe. It was 30-minute intervals, but we'll see. Or it was one of the other vessels that unfortunately was on the search area or in the search area at that time. So it's not looking good. It gave everyone, I think personally, false hope. And I think that maybe we should have been told about the implosion that was picked up on Sunday, but we weren't. Could the speed of the descent have been responsible for the implosion? Lisa, no. So from what I gather, it takes 2.5 hours to get to the bottom. And at 1 hour and 45 minutes is when they lost communication and they were like just halfway or not quite. So they were going at an appropriate pace. So it was nothing to do with the speed. What happened, I think, and from what I'm gathering from the kind of impressions that people are getting from what happened, the experts, what they're thinking is that as the sub descended and got to 1 hour and 45 minutes, as you know, when you descend deep into the ocean like that, the pressure on the outside of the vehicle intensifies the further down you go. Oh, Bianca, thank you. So the pressure on the vehicle intensifies as you go down. And basically, I think what happened was as they got to the 1 hour and 45 minute mark, thank you, Jill. Basically, the pressure was just too much for whatever the flaw was in the system, in the sub itself. And that's when it imploded. So I think, it gradually was getting stronger and stronger. The pressure was building and building, and it just couldn't take it anymore once it got to 1 hour and 45 minutes. So it sounds like that's what happened. I had just shared a minute ago that they're actually bolted in. I found a video finally in the nose cone. So they did find a bit of the nose cone in the debris, but this front part, the nose cone actually opens. Thank you, Bianca. And they get in that way, and then it's all re-bolted on. So whether it was bolted in properly, if there was a leak, we don't know. They're saying that because it was the carbon fiber mixture, that they think there might have been separation between the two different kinds of material. Thank you, Hoppy. And maybe that's what happened, but we don't know. And they are right now on the bottom of the ocean still with 2 ROVs trying to map out the debris site to try and find out what exactly took place. It's not a mixture. Yes, it is a mixture. Oh, they're not mixed together. Like they're not melted together. It's that there's titanium and there's carbon fiber, but they're put together. Like they're not mixed together and joined as one material. They're 2 separate materials, but they were both used together in different parts of the sub. So I think it was the pressure chamber that had a lot of the carbon fiber. And it's never been used on a sub before. This is the first time. So that's why it was not certified. Part of the reason it was not certified. And from what I'm gathering, everyone within the Submersible Society believes that it shouldn't have been made. It hasn't been tested and wasn't experimented with enough to basically have used it in a submersible. No, they're absolutely, Jay, not alive still, unfortunately. Yeah, and a lot of people are talking about the migrants. So if you guys were also watching the news, 750 migrants off the coast of Greece actually lost their life. And people are upset that there wasn't as much news coverage, or any really, about that as opposed to this. My theories on that, though, is because this captured people's attention because there's not many of these kind of vehicles around, these submersibles. So I think that was one. Two, it was full of millionaires. So I think people get intrigued with that and wonder how the heck people get in this for $250,000. But I think the big reason was that it's the Titanic. I think because the Titanic is, you know, so close to people's heart and such a famous relic that I think people just picked up on this and followed it more intensely because of that, unfortunately. All the bodies recoverable. What happened to the human body? So yeah, there will be no bodies recovered. Unfortunately, guys, I'll explain it. If it's a little bit graphic, but I'll try and go through what happens during the implosion if you want to hear it again. But what happens basically is as it goes down, the pressure on the outside, as you guys know, builds up on the outside of the sub. And as soon as it gets too much for the materials to handle, an implosion happens like that. So what happens, and this is all within like a fraction of a second, but I'll explain it kind of what happens in stages. So what happens is the inside basically heats up to the surface of the sun. So basically it's like a pressure cooker that you would cook your food in, how you put the lid on and the inside heats up so hot that it cooks your food with steam and whatever else. That's what happens on the inside. They said it's hotter than the surface of the sun. And then the sides basically can't handle it and they just collapse inside into each other. And everything that's inside basically is like basically liquefied from the pressure and comes out the edges and basically becomes part of the ocean. The only thing that kind of falls to the ground is things that are heavy, don't have that buoyancy to kind of float away. And that's what's been found on the sandy bottom by the Titanic. So what time did the Navy hear the implosion? Lawler, that's what we're trying to figure out. Sand Fox, thank you, Sand Fox. That's what we're trying to figure out. They have not released that yet. We know for sure they heard it on Sunday around the time that it went missing. And we just don't know an exact time yet. I'm hoping that they're going to be sharing that. If they do, I will, of course, update. So hit follow if you're interested. And I will try and do a live as soon as they say that as well. But I will also make posts if you don't make it on here. I wonder if it was involved in a collision with the naval vessel. Natty, supposedly there was no collision. There was no naval vessels recorded at that time in that area. It just, whatever happened, there was a catastrophic implosion, and no survivors, unfortunately. But like I said a few minutes ago, they did not feel any pain and they had no idea this was coming. So the way an implosion was described on several outlets that I just looked at, basically what happens is an implosion happens in a fraction of a second. Holly Lynn, thank you. And an implosion basically happens in a fraction of a second. Your brain doesn't have enough time to register it even happens. So the way we view things, by the time the implosion happened, what we were viewing wouldn't even have had time to reach their brain. So they wouldn't have even known it happened. And our pain receptors take longer than an implosion would. So they wouldn't have even felt pain. So literally they wouldn't have known it was coming and they wouldn't have felt anything. It was just, they were just gone. Would they? Oh, I just read that one. Yeah. CNN is false. I mean, some things may be, but CNN is reporting the same things as Fox News and all the other outlets that I'm following. So I think it's all legit. But didn't they drop something that would lift them to the air? They must have done something. Sarah, I've tried to find that. I've not been able to find reports of that on any of the reputable, I guess I'll say, news sites. The only place I've seen that is on social media and things that someone said James Cameron said that. I have not been able to find a report of that, and the Coast Guard has not released that I've been able to find. So I don't think that actually is true. But if anyone has found that, please send me the articles and I'll look into it. What day did they implode? Remy, they now know that it was on Sunday. So the Navy has a system of sonar or sensors in the water since 1950, actually. It's called the IUSS, the Integrated Undersea Surveillance System. It picked up what they believed was an implosion on Sunday. They can't be definitive if it is or not. It's just kind of what falls in line of what they would hear if there was an implosion. So they did report it to the search team, and that's why they were searching where they were. Thanks, Deanna. Mm-hmm. This all started on Sunday, guys. The search started on Sunday. Did they burn up? Basically, yes. So it would have been, unfortunately, like a pressure cooker. So the inside of the sub would have been basically as hot as the surface of the sun when this happened. So there was no link back to Earth. Aisha, I'm not sure what that means. How did it have so much oxygen for days? It had 96 hours of oxygen in it. Do you think the implosion could have been avoided if there was more testing done to the vessel? Yeah. So Domi, what I think from listening to these experts, I don't think that the material that they used was tested properly. I mean, over years, you have to test something numerous times, right? Like multiple trips down without people in it to find out if it's going to be a successful material you can use. They didn't do that. So this vessel, this sub, is the first submersible sub. Terry, thank you. Sorry, it's the first submersible or sub to have used this carbon fiber in it. And basically the chief of the Submersible Society came on and said that it's not tested. Nobody has used this. There are 10 subs right now in the world that are able to go the depth that this was able to go. I think they said it was 12,000 feet. Yeah, 12,000 feet. So there's only 10 subs in the world that can go 12,000 feet or deeper. And this is one of them. They're all certified except this one. This is the only one that was not certified. And part of the reason was because it used this carbon titanium material and it just wasn't tested properly. So I don't think they ever should have used that. What about their clothing? Their clothing would have just been instantly gone with the implosion. They'll never find any of that. So with the implosion, when it implodes, it's like an explosion, except it's inwards. So basically the inside would have been like a pressure cooker. It would have been hotter than the surface of the sun. Everything would have just like liquefied inside, unfortunately, and it would have crushed like a tin can and just disintegrated. So no, they will not find anything like that. All subs can go 12,000 feet. Only 10 let people live afterwards. Okay. I see what you're saying there, but yeah. What about teeth? No. So teeth, bones, everything with the temperature that was would have been, it would have been hotter than if someone's cremated. Like it would have all been gone. Why didn't they test it? So they did test it. What happened was, when they built this, there was testing happening. The company itself, this OceanGate, was testing it, but it wasn't tested properly repeatedly for the amount of time you would need to make sure that that a material would sustain what they were doing. So yes, they tested it. They took it down, did whatever they needed to do, and they approved it themselves, right? It was successful to them. They had a couple successful missions, and then this happened. So when you're testing a new product, you have to test it repeatedly to make sure that the material stays and that, nothing happens. And that's what they unfortunately didn't do. Like it requires years and years. And that's what they said, why they didn't get it certified. They said it would have been taken too long. It would have been years to get it certified, which, that's what should have happened if you were taking people in this. And they said basically that it would have stifled the innovation and the growth. So he was thinking this was like this huge innovation to use this more buoyant product, and it unfortunately ended badly. When was the first trip the sub took? So the first trip was in 2019, not to the Titanic. It was in another location, a warmer location. And this is where they actually had, if you saw on their website, they used to tote that this company, what made it get so hot. So Kieran, apparently the reason it gets so hot, it has to do with the molecules inside, the atoms and molecules. the way they're moving when it's an implosion. That's why it gets so hot in the inside. Kind of the same thing as if it's an explosion. Well, I can't remember. Oh, yes, the testing. So yes, it was in 2019 was the first time that they tested it for a deep dive, and they've taken it down, you know, however many times since then. Are they still chilling down there? No, it has. They found debris. It had a catastrophic implosion. Jimmy, are you in Newfoundland? Yes, it happened off the coast of Newfoundland. Would they have known this was anything was wrong minutes before? Maria, no. So all of the evidence leads to the fact they had no idea this was happening. So an implosion happens within a fraction of a second. It's faster than our eyes can register what's happening and send it to our brain. So they wouldn't have seen or registered that anything happened. And they also wouldn't have felt anything because our pain receptors even take longer than it would have for an implosion to happen. So they did not feel anything. Hi, Joanne. They did not feel anything or see anything. It was just over before they knew anything happened. Also, it's harder to test carbon fiber for leaks, unlike titanium and other metals. Cheapskate, I could see that. They also said like titanium has more elasticity to it with pressure. Like it's able to kind of give a little and release again, and carbon fiber doesn't. So I think that would have been a huge part of the problem as well. Aw, thanks, RD. Are they okay? No, Tractor, unfortunately, they found the debris. It had a catastrophic implosion and there's no survivors. Okay, question. It imploded on Sunday. If that's so, they would have been dead already because they were... Yeah, so Cody, Sunday was the day that it went down. So it started its descent at 8 a.m., I believe it was. They were about an hour and 45 minutes down when they lost all communication. So the only communication they had on this, guys, was like a pinging system. They were able to ping their location of where they were to the mothership above, and like a texting system. So they could text back and forth. Radio waves don't work underwater. So there was no GPS, there was no radio, nothing like that. And at an hour and 45 minutes down, everything stopped. Communication, the pinging, there was nothing. So people now think that that's when the implosion happened. So the knocking sounds someone heard were not true. They were true. Unfortunately, it was not the sub. And I think it gave everyone false hope. So it's being sent for evaluation right now. But what they're saying was they think it was just either another vessel that was there for the search or oceanic noises. So it was not, unfortunately, the vessel. I heard there was an alarm that shows when it's at risk for implosion. Someone else that asked that as well. I have not seen any reports of that anywhere on the research I've done. So I don't know if that's true or not. I doubt that there would ever be an alarm that could go fast enough to let you know an implosion is happening. There's probably alarms of, you know, different things going wrong, but you would never, by the time an alarm rang for an implosion, it would already be imploded, because an implosion is literally a fraction of a second. Will they find the bodies? No, there will be no remains found. Basically what happens when it implodes is it gets hotter than the surface of the sun inside, and then the sides just collapse and crumple like a tin can. And unfortunately, everything is liquefied and basically just goes into the ocean. Things that are not buoyant will sink to the bottom and become debris, and things that are buoyant will just become one and float away. Is it possible that nobody actually went down and it's all for money? Just something I've heard. Emily, a lot of people have said that too. Like there's some conspiracy things going around. I don't believe that. I think that's just a conspiracy theory. James Cameron said in an interview, it would have gave warning that they would have been aware. I didn't see that part of his interview if he did say that. But if an implosion takes a fraction of a second, there would be no warning system that would have been able to, even if there was an alarm that went off at the exact same time that imploded, your brain wouldn't have time to register it, because an implosion is literally a fraction of a second. Like it's quicker than even things you see can reach your brain. Like they wouldn't have been able to hear it. What about the phones? Barbara, if they did have their phones on them, they would have been able to record like video, but it wouldn't have gone to like the iCloud or anything like that, because radio waves don't work. So there would have been no reception for phones. Thank you, Kathy. Do they know why it imploded? So Maggie, what they're saying right now is that the material was made, the sub was made of a combination of carbon fiber and titanium. They think that there may have been something called delamination happening, which basically leads to the separation of the layers. with multiple trips down. So they're thinking that like wherever they had the carbon fiber and the titanium, it started to separate and caused a weakness. And that could have been why it imploded, unfortunately. Someone said they heard like yelling. Oh yeah, that was just, unfortunately, I think video or footage. What do you call it? I can't think of the word. It was a scam. It was fake. There was people were putting out videos saying that it was of the footage of the actual implosion or the accident, saying that they could hear the people on it yelling at things. That was not true. Where are you from? I'm from New Brunswick, Canada, guys, on the East Coast, on the Atlantic Ocean. So kind of the same. The provinces are all the Atlantic provinces, including Newfoundland. What causes it to get so hot? So Rosalind, it's basically the molecules and the atoms inside just going crazy in there, and it heats it up to like an insane level. It didn't implode, it was swallowed. Sandy from Ottawa. Heather from New Brunswick too, Fredericton. Hi, lovey. Guys, hit follow if you're interested. I will definitely be doing more updates as soon as they release any more information. Hopefully we're going to hear what time it actually imploded to know more. And right now the ROVs are currently still on the ocean floor. They're doing like a mapping grid of all the debris to try and figure out exactly what happened. I don't know if they'll be able to or not, but that's what they're trying to do. Thank you so much for the gifts, you guys. I see that. And I see your tapping. Thank you. How come it didn't implode when they went down a couple years ago on the same tour? So basically, they think it's over time. Like the material that they use, this carbon fiber, has never been used on a submersible before. This is the first one. And it was not tested, over time. CJ, over time long enough for it to basically make a difference and know if this was going to happen. So they just took a risk, it sounds like. They were using this new kind of product that they shouldn't have used. They should have stuck with titanium, and they didn't. So it sounds like that's why this happened, that there was a separation between the materials possibly, and it just got weakened the more trips they went down, and it just couldn't handle the pressure anymore and imploded. Megan with the gamepad controller. How many times has it gone down? Guys, I keep forgetting to look that up. I'm going to look up how many times it's done this trip. I'm not sure. I do know that the first deep dive that it made was in 2019, but I don't know how many times exactly it's gone down. I'm from Everett, Washington. My grandpa is best friends with the guy that made it, and he told them not to go. Tina, I believe that. I watched several interviews. One was thank you, darling, CJ. One was the chief of the Submersible Society. He basically said that he has sent numerous emails to Stockton Rush saying, slow down, you need more testing, this is not ready. And Stockton Rush was like, too bad. They've also had numerous emails that they've come across that were people, thanks Tara, trying to get him to certify it. There are 10 submersibles that are able to go this depth. And not one of them, it's the only one that was not certified. Every one of them is certified except this one. And this is the first one that used that carbon fiber material as well. Did they feel the heat? Jordan, they wouldn't have felt anything. So yes, it gets inside of an implosion. Oh, SB. Oh, thank you. I've never seen that before, you guys. That is so cool. SB in the house. Thank you, darling. So when it has an implosion, the inside of it gets as hot as the sun, and then it crumples like a can and everything just kind of disintegrates. But this all happens in a matter of like a fraction of a second. So it's quicker than the images we're seeing can reach our brain, or pain receptors can reach our brain. So they felt nothing, they saw nothing, and they would not have known that was happening. It would have just been over. Why would they go down on the Titan when they had others that were certified? So this is one of the only vessels that can do this. There's only 10 like in the world that do this, and this is the only one that goes down to the Titanic and allows tourists and things to do that. So this is the only way. If they wanted to get to the Titanic remains, they had to go on this thing. And that's why this thing had 0 bells and whistles. I'll bring up another picture here, guys, so you can see. There was a reporter who actually had a tour of this and actually went down. There it is here, guys. This is actually Stockton Rush sitting in the Titan. This is what it looks like. There's no bells and whistles at all. There's nothing comfortable at all to sit on. There's no chairs, like cushions, like nothing. Like it is bare walls. The carbon fiber and titanium is all it is. There's the laptops where they're able to view the Titanic's grave when it gets down there. That is it. Like there's a bathroom, if you want to call it that. Basically, it's this like box structure. Cody, thank you. It's this box structure that has like Ziploc baggies in it for you to use the washroom and then zip it and get rid of it. And there's like basically like a little curtain to pull across for some privacy, but that is it. Like if you wanted to go, you were paying $250,000 to get on this thing, and there was nothing special. Like you got a sandwich and a bottle of water apparently to go down, and that's it. Do you think that they ran out of oxygen before it imploded? No, I think it imploded an hour and 45 minutes into the trip, and they had 96 hours of oxygen. So I don't think they ran out of oxygen at all. I just think that unfortunately it was a weakened structure, and sadly it imploded. Let me see. This is another picture. So this is another shot of the inside. It is basically the size of a minivan is what they have described. If you want to see, I'm going to be posting a tour of the inside on my page probably tomorrow. So hit follow if you want to check that out tomorrow. But basically it's the size of a minivan. It's cylinder in shape. Thank you for the gifts, you guys. It's cylinder in shape. So the walls are curved. So when they get in, there's no seats, there's nothing. They just sit kind of with their backs up against like the curved metal walls, basically. This is the only window that they had. And you can't see it, but right by where the window is where the washroom is. It was just this box that they had the Ziploc baggies in to use the washroom. They have, of course, as you can see, a remote control. It's famous now. It's a Logitech, apparently, remote control that he used. In the video I'm going to post, Dr. Rush basically says that they wanted simplicity and to save money. So that's why they used kind of the cheap things that they did. He also admitted, like, I guess there's LED lights in this for some reason. And he said that he bought them at like, what was it called? Camping World. So it was not, they were not high tech. There's one button, and he shows it in the video. There's one button on the whole thing and then the remote control. Yeah, it's awful, guys. I am definitely not qualified. Someone just asked what my qualifications are. I'm just invested in this, and I've just been doing a lot of research into what happened and following a lot of the experts and looking into it. So I'm digging into it so you guys don't have to, and just sharing what I've come across. LED lights for some reason. Yeah, like that cracked me up. I was like, LED lights like my kids have in their room and for gaming? Like, anyway, yeah. No, they're absolutely not alive, guys. Unfortunately, it had a catastrophic implosion and they are gone. There will be no remains found. No. So in an implosion, basically the inside gets hotter than the surface of the sun, and everything just like liquefies instantly, and it crushes like a can, breaks apart, disintegrates, and just anything that is light will float away. Anything that has any sort of buoyancy is just gone. Anything that has any bit of weight to it will sink to the bottom and become a debris pile, which is what they found. Was there any other reason for the Logitech controller other than the price? Molly, what he tried to say is that it was for simplicity reasons, that he wanted something really simple and nothing complicated for whoever was driving the vessel. But then in the same breath, he added that it was also saving costs. So I think it was money. Somebody just asked if I could show something in a minute. Can you show us the photo that showed us proof of what they found? Jay, what do you mean, darling? Which picture? Can you show us the photo that showed us the proof of what they found? I'm not sure which picture that is. Is this their first time trying to go to the Titanic? No, they've done multiple trips for this. Thanks, Kelly. They've done multiple trips for this. The first time was in 2019 when they went down for a deep dive to test it. And they've done, I don't know how many trips since, but they've done several. Everyone is harping on the controller when it's the carbon fiber that was the issue. Yeah, Dirty, it was nothing with the controller. I think it's just shock that it was being used in general. But no, the controller, they don't think had anything to do with what happened. It was the fact that he used carbon fiber is what they're thinking now. How do you think they should have went about this mission if you knew the information beforehand? Kai, do you remember, do you mean the people that got on it? I know that there was a father and son duo. They've done an interview saying that they were actually supposed to go on this trip. And they bailed kind of weeks before, and it was given to two other people, unfortunately. But they said that they had done some research, and his son basically said, it's not certified. This is what can happen. Like, I don't want to go. And so they called it off. Fact check. It does not get hotter than the sun, but yes, it imploded and they're part of the ocean. Alexandra, it actually does get hotter than the sun. Some people said like 4 to 5 times hotter. You can look it up because that's what I did. Do you think the company OceanGate is over? I don't know how it can't be, except I know that it does have other submersibles in other areas around the world doing different things. So I don't know if just this portion is done or if they're going to get sued. I don't know. Yeah, I feel awful for the 19-year-old. If you saw the interview, guys, the 19-year-old that was on this didn't want to be on this. He only went because it was Father's Day and he wanted to basically make his dad happy, but he was terrified to go. Real question is, who's going to pay the $6 million rescue? Yeah, HT, a lot of people are asking that right now. Like they said in a couple of the articles that I read, it's well into the millions right now because they had like planes and ships and ROVs and like everything you can imagine deployed out to find this. Did they feel pain or was it too fast when it exploded? Yeah, Kane, they didn't feel anything and they actually wouldn't have even seen that this was happening. An implosion happens within a fraction of a second. It's quicker than our eyes can get to, like what we see can reach our brain, and it's quicker than our pain receptors can register pain to our brain. So they felt nothing and they saw nothing. All right, Julie, I'm getting off to cuddle. Night, Ryan. She acts like she was there. No, Jasmine, I absolutely don't, because I would never set foot on this. I'm just reporting and giving you guys what I've researched and all the stuff that's in the news. If you're not interested, though, keep scrolling. It's a good thing about TikTok. Can the families of the men sue even though they willingly signed a waiver? There's been some lawyers on that have said yes. I have no idea. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not too sure. I'm thinking if it was something faulty, like, you know, they were being warned and they did nothing, then yes. But again, I don't know. But they definitely signed their life away with those waivers that they had to fill out. It was not good. Oh, thanks, Brian. Yes, Sophia, exactly. They can still sue due to negligence. That's what I'm thinking maybe, but other people say they can't sue because they basically signed their life away. And they absolutely would have had to sign something saying that they knew it wasn't certified and probably like an at your own risk thing, but I have no idea. Hi you guys are from everywhere around the world. This is so cool. How does carbon fire affect this? Oh, carbon fiber. So the carbon fiber material that he decided to use on the sub, apparently he used it because it's more buoyant and it allowed him to have more passengers on it. So carbon fiber apparently is like a stiffer material and it doesn't have much give, where titanium is more elastic. It will, with the pressure that was on the sub, it will let it kind of go in and out a little bit more and adjust to the pressure. So they're thinking that that had something to do with it, as well as the fact that they used both of those materials. They think there might have been separation between the materials and caused weakening. Show some more pics. Okay, I will show you guys. Let me see. So this was kind of a good shot of it descending. So this is, of course, where the only window is, and you can't see, but right where the gray part of the window and the body of it, it turns white. That's where they're bolted in, guys. Like they are legit bolted in this thing. Like they would never have been able to get out without equipment to unbolt them. So they get in the body of it, and then this thing, the front opens, the nose, and then it shuts, and they bolt it all around the edge. So there could have been something faulty around that edge where they bolted it as well. We're not really sure. Obviously, they knew something bad was going to happen when they knew they were stuck down there, right? Chris, we don't think they were stuck down there. We think this possibly happened during the descent. They were an hour and 45 minutes into their descent when it happened, so we think that's when it was. How long would it take them to get to the Titanic? It's Ghostface, it's 2.5 hours to get down. 2.5 hours to get down, 2.5 hours to get back up, and then they stay down for about 3 to 4 hours viewing the remains. Julie, how long was the trip supposed to have lasted? They say it's about 8 to 9 hours in total because of the time it takes to get down and up and then spending it around. Polar Prince lost connection because it imploded. Yeah, Adisha, that's what we're thinking happened, is that an hour and 45 minutes down when it lost all connection and communication, that's when it imploded. Put up the picture of the controller in the sand after the implosion. Big boy, that is not true. That's just, unfortunately, a meme kind of joke that's going around TikTok right now. They did not find the controller. Thank you, homie. Magna, thank you. Why would they make it so it could only open on the outside? The reason they had to bolt them in, thank you. The reason they had to bolt them in is for safety reasons, for the pressure, like the structure. You can't have any flaws or leaks or imperfections. So they literally bolt them in to make sure that they're completely sealed. It's terrifying. Like, I can't believe anyone lets themselves be bolted into something, but they did. Was it the first time they went down? Was there no testing done? No, this was not the first time. The first time they did a deep dive test was in 2019. They have done this trip multiple times and nothing has happened. So they're thinking it was like a wear and tear kind of the material, or there was a possible leak or imperfection that we just don't know about yet. Do you think they suffered any? No, when an implosion happens, it's a fraction of a second. So it's even faster than your brain would register whatever you saw could reach your brain, or pain receptors could pick up. Like it happened before they saw anything or felt anything. But they should have tested it again before going down. Absolutely, Nova. And the former CEO, or I guess not former CEO, but the co-owner that created this with Stockton Rush, he's been out of the business for 10 years, but he came on and did a statement and basically said that they have extensive testing. We just don't know what that testing is. But they definitely didn't do long-term testing. Like the carbon fiber, this is the first time carbon fiber was used on like a submersible. And they didn't test it long enough to know if over time it would disintegrate or, become faulty and the pressure get to it. So I think that's the biggest problem. What about the banging noises? They are currently evaluating the banging noises. It's been sent to the U.S. Navy. We don't know what it is yet, but they know it was not this. They now think it might have been vessels that were in the area doing the search, but they're not sure. Julie, are you an authority on this, or a journalist, or am I missing something? And no, I used to work at the radio station here in my town for a couple of years and absolutely loved it. It's definitely one of my passions, just like talking to people and looking into things and reporting, but I am definitely like no expert on this. This is just me from doing like ridiculous amounts of digging into this and following it on the news and all the reports. Thank you so much for answering our questions. Tina, I love your questions. It's the best part. Thank you for coming in and watching and participating. We can go miles into space, but not a couple miles down in the ocean. Actually, no. So the chief of the Submersible Society basically said that they have been doing these dives for like 20 years with subs and submersibles, and they have had tons of success. But he said the reason this happened was it was not certified, it was not tested properly, and it was using a product that has never been used before, this carbon fiber, and it just never should have happened. Why were they allowed to bring people down in the sub if it wasn't even certified? Hannah, it sounds like the laws or the rules or whatever you want to call it for subs is like slack because there's not enough of them, or I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it doesn't sound like there's enough restrictions, and maybe that's going to change now, but who knows? Were they already dead before it imploded? We don't know, Jay, but it sounds like the implosion is what probably killed them because they had communication right up until that time. Julie, my friend's husband was on that sub. Tommy. They were in international waters. I feel so bad for their families. Have they shown pictures yet? No, they have not shown any pictures. As soon as they release the pictures, though, I will post on my page. So hit follow if you're interested. But I'll also try and come on here and show you guys the pictures as well if you missed it. It would have happened so fast they wouldn't have known that they died. No, exactly, Henry. They wouldn't have seen anything, guys, and they definitely wouldn't have felt anything. An implosion happens within a fraction of a second. What's the difference between a submarine and a submersible? So a submarine is completely independent. It can be put into the water, goes to wherever it needs to go, comes back, driven by itself. A submersible needs to have a mothership to take it somewhere, to deposit it, and to have like control of it. That's the only difference between the two. So a submarine is like, you know, driven by itself. It's independent and can do what it needs to do on its own. And a submersible needs to have a mothership with it. It's because where the Titanic is located, the water isn't owned by one country. Laws can't be made. Oh, okay, Elliot, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and maybe that's what it is. They can't regulate it properly. I don't know. Oh, the minute it went dark, it imploded. That's what I think too, Trap Lizard. Yeah. When NASA pulled up out and started to look at space, no one put any regulations on it. Yeah, and maybe it's the same reason, right? They should sue the government or the agency which certifies these. It's companies actually that certify them, and the companies refuse to do it. What was it called? The company was called Lloyd's Register. So they actually were kind of, here, I'll show you another picture as you guys are on here. They were actually kind of slick in how they went about this, trying to make it sound like it was kind of certified or safer than what it actually was. But basically what they did is when they did the test dive, the deep dive testing in 2019, they called and got a representative from Lloyd's Register to come out and watch. So they did. They had the guy there checking it out, and then they actually declined. They declined to a request to certify the Titan. So the company would not certify it. They said absolutely not. Like it's not safe enough to use. We're not certifying it. But OceanGate posted on their website when they talked about the deep dive that a representative from Lloyd's Register was there and basically like oversaw the situation, almost trying to make it sound like they did get certified when in fact they didn't. Do submarines go as low as submersibles? Yeah, so some do. And I think there's only 10, I believe it said, 10 subs, and I don't know if there's submarines or submersibles in the world that can go to the depth, like to go to 12,000 feet or deeper. And this is the only one of them that's not certified. Can you show us the paper they signed, please? I actually didn't save a copy of the papers that they signed. It's hard to show on here, but if you Google search it, you can find it. Do you think they knew something was wrong when they were going down? Karen, I don't think so. I think they would have turned around and come back up if they had have known. Or I think if they had have realized there was a leak or something like that, they wouldn't have continued. But do you think this will be the end of excursions to the Titanic and make it a banned area? Somebody just had a good point. It's international waters, so I don't think you can ban anything out there. I think that companies are going to be extremely hesitant now to take this trip or to do this trip from now on, just because of getting sued and like the consequences, I think, but who knows? How many staff were on board, or was it mainly passengers? So I'll show you guys the 5 people that have lost their life. Oh, thank you. The 5 people that lost their life on this. So there was one employee, and it was the CEO. It was Stockton Rush. He was on this, and I'm going to keep this big so you guys can see this for a sec. So this is Stockton Rush. He was the CEO. He was the one kind of piloting it. He had the PlayStation remote. This fellow was a Titanic researcher, and he's also a professional diver. Hamish Harding up top is a British businessman. He's a millionaire. And then the 2 pictures at the top were the father and son duo. And as you guys know, the son did not want to go on this. He was terrified. His aunt actually did an interview and said that he had been talking about it days before going, saying he was really scared and he didn't want to go, but he didn't want to disappoint his dad. And because it was Father's Day, he agreed in going. So it's extremely sad. All right, I'll put up. So here's old Stockton Rush. This was on one of the test dives. And this is a picture of him looking out the only window, basically. Do you think the banging was the implosion? No, Willow. So the banging that they picked up was on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, and the banging was not sounds of an implosion. They know the difference between the two, and the Navy has said that there were no sounds of implosion during the 72 hours of the search, but they did on Sunday before the sonar vehicles were there doing the search. On Sunday, a system of sensors called IUSS, the Integrated Undersea Surveillance System. They were set up in the ocean. They actually picked up the sounds of the implosion at that time. And so they know that it imploded on Sunday. Any mods in here? How's it been? Hi, Serotonin. Yes, there are a couple mods in here. And I don't know how it's been because the comments go so quick. I think it's been pretty good. Is it true about their eardrums? No, I shouldn't say that. Maybe they wouldn't have felt it though. So an implosion is a fraction of a second. So even if their eardrums do blow out, they wouldn't have felt it, and it all would have happened in a fraction of a second. So I don't know. I find it hard to believe that the eardrums go, that you would even know that eardrums go, because you basically, it's like you're liquefied, like you're just gone. The eardrums do blow out first. It wouldn't be like a first. Everything happens in a fraction of a second. So if the eardrums go, it literally, like, it's in a fraction of a second. So everything would just happen at once. Did any of them have health issues? I don't know. And I don't know if the company tested for that or not. How long did it take for the sub to implode? Literally a fraction of a second. Like they didn't know what was coming. They wouldn't have known it was happening. Like nothing would have had time to register to their brain as it happened. That's how quick it happens. Do they know what time the sub imploded? They haven't released the exact time yet, but we know now that it happened on Sunday. There is a series of sensors in the ocean, apparently, since like 1950 for a bunch of reasons. They said that they've actually located missing subs before, and for enemy vessels, I guess, that come in because of how well sound carries. So it did pick up the implosion on Sunday, and that is how they knew kind of the search area they needed to start in, because of where they had heard the implosion come from. I heard they began their ascent back to the surface because they dropped their weights. Christy, I heard that as well a few times, and I've been trying to find clarification on that, and it is not being posted on any of the legit news media or Coast Guard sites that I've been watching. So I don't know if that's actually factual. I tend to believe it's not if I haven't seen it on any of those sites yet, but I'm not sure. I think the Navy reported hearing the implosion. Lisa, they did. So the Navy heard it. They reported it right away, and they could not say it's definitive. So it was like the signature sounds that would come from an implosion, but they can't say for sure until they know. So what happened was they reported it to the search team. The search team knew the general area, and they continued their search, and they were going to keep searching until they either found the sub intact or found the debris of the imploded sub, which, as we know, unfortunately happened. Why did they send the Titan down if they already had a son that could do? Oh, I missed that. Sorry, the comment just jumped. Oh, why did it take 8 hours for the company to report the submersible missing? And I'm seeing different reports of that as well. So what I initially heard was that the sub went down at 8 a.m., an hour and 45 minutes into the trip. It lost all communication, and it was supposed to surface at 6:15. Thank you, Brood. And when it didn't, at 6:35, supposedly they called in the bigwigs. So I'm not sure exactly the timeline for that, if that's actually accurate, or if they had already started the search, but then they had called in like the Navy and things at 6:35. I'm not too sure. So what have they found for debris? So far they have found 5 pieces of the debris that they were able to identify. I'll show you the actual vessel right now, and I'll show you which pieces have been found. And again, it's just pieces, like pieces is all they have found, because in an implosion, there's not much left. So they found a piece of the nose cone, which is this end part. So this nose cone is actually what lifts out and opens. The passengers get in and they bolt it back on. So that's how they get in. They also found a piece of the pressure chamber, the middle section. They found a little piece of the tail cone, and they found 2 pieces of the front pressure hull in like different debris areas. So they were able to definitively say that it was in fact a catastrophic implosion that happened. How was it allowed to go down if it wasn't certified? Molly, good question. It sounds like it doesn't have to be certified, unfortunately. It sounds like there's not a lot of regulations when you're in the ocean like this. And unfortunately, it went. Did they get to see the Titanic first? It doesn't sound like they did. If it imploded at an hour and 45 minutes, then no, it didn't, because it takes about 2.5 hours to get down. And it actually takes them quite a bit of time once they're on the bottom to find the remains of the Titanic, because they're not navigating. So the mothership up above is telling them where to go. And apparently on a few trips, they haven't even been able to see the Titanic because they've given the wrong navigation from above and haven't been able to find it. I mean, I can jump in the ocean even if I don't know how to swim. I don't know what that point was, Frog. When will they find the remains of the bodies? They won't, Caroline. So any remains would just be gone. So, oh, thanks, Nicole. So what happens in an implosion, unfortunately, is the center becomes basically as hot as the sun, or hotter than the surface of the sun. And the outsides just like crinkle, like come in and collapse like a can, basically. And everything inside would be like a pressure cooker. So it would all just almost liquefy. And then as it squeezes and collapses, everything just gets kind of pushed out the sides and evaporates and disintegrates. Like anything, oh, thanks, Nicole. Anything that has any buoyancy to it at all would just basically float away and be one with the ocean. Anything that had any weight would sink to the bottom and become a debris pile. Thank you so much for the gifts, you guys, and the tapping. Wouldn't they have felt the change in pressure as they went down? Well, the inside's pressurized. So it's pressurized so you don't feel the pressure changing. And as you get further down, that's why they were going at a certain pace so that you don't feel that. How long are you going to talk about this? I don't know how long I'll be on tonight, Brie. How did the water not evaporate from the heat? What do you mean? Like, what water do you mean? Like the ocean? Brood, thank you. Any chance of finding their cell phones? Maddie, I don't think there's a chance at all of finding anything. No, unfortunately. I mean, if there was something still intact like that, it would be pretty amazing. I think everything that would have been inside would have been liquefied, like just done. I think what they're finding is pieces from the outside of it that kind of survived. Thank you, guys. Why didn't the mothership call for help until 8 hours later? Oh, did I? Lisa, we already read that. Sorry, I just read it again. Thank you, Amy. Even their clothes. Yep, clothes, like, guys, even bones. Like, think of someone who's cremated, like everything's just ash. That's basically what would have happened to the inside. Like, it just would have been gone. Haley. Not true. They found the controller intact. No, they absolutely did not find the controller intact. That is a total scam, unfortunately, going around right now. That is not an actual picture of the bottom of the ocean. No pictures have been released yet. And that is a total poor joke going around, unfortunately. Was there a camera inside? Yes, there were tons of cameras inside. There was actually a camera right inside the window of this porthole as well. That's how they view the outside as they're going down. And then they all had laptops inside to view what the camera was taping, but nothing's projected to the surface though, because radio waves don't work, especially down that deep. So nothing would have been relayed up. The boy had a phone. Kwan, they probably all had a phone, but it would have just been gone. And the phone wouldn't have worked, right? There'd be no radio waves able to pass through the water. So nothing would work down there. 5 people lost 5 pieces. Oh, I see what you're saying, Bella. Yeah. I didn't even think of that. It was, yes, Boxer, it was a catastrophic implosion. Will they make another Ocean Gate? So Ocean Gate has other submersibles like this in different parts doing different things. I don't know if they'll ever have one like this that is going down to the Titanic again. Who knows? I can't imagine. Aw, thank you, Red. I don't know how Julie does it. She's so kind and patient despite the same idiotic questions. Thanks, Red. Rush Stockton was a fraud. Lawsuit filed on Rush. He planned this. So yeah, Rush Stockton, here, I'll show you a picture of him again in the sub here, guys. I'll show you the one of the inside. I'm going to be posting actually a video of him doing a tour of the inside. I just haven't done it yet. If you're interested, just hit follow and I'll try and post it tomorrow, maybe tonight if I have time. But this is stock, it sounds funny when I'm saying it. Stock Rush. Am I saying it right? Rush did, no, my God, hold on. I'm saying his name wrong now. I've said it too many times. Stockton Rush. Whew. This is Stockton Rush. This is him inside the Titan. Basically, what he said was, actually, I'll read you a quote he said the other night. This sums him up perfectly, I think. He said, at some point, safety just is pure waste. I mean, if you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed, don't get in your car, and don't do anything. So this is kind of his view on safety. He basically just cut corners. He wanted to have more people on board than he would have been able to have if he made this out of titanium. That's why he went with the carbon fiber, apparently, because it has more buoyancy. So he was allowed more people. He used like the PlayStation Logitech remote to navigate on this. There were no bells or whistles on this at all. Like there was nothing even comfortable to sit on. You were just sitting on the floor of the sub. Like he did not he was not using any expenses to make this fancy. And he could, because it was $250,000 to go on this. And it was the only way a tourist or someone was going to be able to go down to the Titanic and see the remains. Why do you know so much? Oh, it's embarrassing to say. Guys, I am so invested in this. So my kind of hobby or pastime, I guess you'd say, is following the news and pop culture and stuff like that. I love kind of learning and researching. So I've been just digging into this since it happened and listening to everything they're putting out from the news to experts and things like that. So I'm just sharing it with you guys so you don't have to take the time I did and dig into it, basically. I just love this stuff. If you are interested, make sure you hit follow, because I'll be doing some more lives and posting updates as soon as they come. What would happen to a human body at that depth? It's not good. So do you mean with an implosion, or do you mean if a human body was just all of a sudden at that depth? Kenneth, thank you so much. Guys, you are so kind. Thank you. Do you think we'll be able to see the things on their phones? Absolutely not. Leah, thank you, darling. Their phones would have just been obliterated at the moment that it had the implosion. So basically what happens, as you guys know, I said the center of an implosion inside this this canister, we'll call it, heats up to like hotter than the surface of the sun. Everything just collapses in on itself like a can that's crumpling. And then basically it just disintegrates and it's gone. So they did not feel anything. They would not have seen anything happen. Anything that's buoyant, just basically be, oh, SB, thank you. Basically anything that's buoyant would just float into the ocean and be gone. Anything that has any weight to it at all would sink to the bottom. So the newest kind of developments from today, guys, that I didn't share since the beginning, so I should probably share this again. But what I was looking into today was what's currently happening. So I did find out that they've scaled back the search right now. So the ROVs are still on site. There's the Victor 6000, which is the ROV that actually found the debris on the bottom. And there's another one there right now as well. They have pulled back everything else though. The US Navy has pulled all their vessels out. Thank you so much, Haley. There is no Navy equipment. Seth, thank you. There's no Navy equipment there. There's no ships. There's nothing. It's all been pulled out. The Navy has left some personnel there to help out, but that's it. So right now it's just the mothership. Thank you, TikToker. It's just the mothership there right now with the ROV. So the ROVs are currently searching the ocean floor to find out, basically they're mapping where the debris is right now to see if they can determine what happened. They did have like a FATUS system, which is like a crazy heavy lifting mechanism. This vessel that can lift, it's something like 56,000 pounds or something, that was on site because they thought if they found the Titan, they would have to attach to it and pull it up. That has also been returned now. It's gone. It's not able to get like scraps and things, but they do think it's a possibility that the ROVs could possibly collect some of the scraps if need be. But right now they're not touching anything. They're just mapping out what's happened to see if they can figure it out. The other thing that's probably not good for OceanGate is the Transportation Safety Board of Canada has launched an investigation into the implosion. So they're looking into it. How come there are no photos or videos of them getting into it? My guess, Elle, is that they just haven't released them out of respect for the family, but I'm not sure. Oh, thank you for the gifts, guys. Trisha and Huntress, thank you. Saskia. The other thing, so the Canadian investigators are now examining the mothership. So Polar Prince is the name of the ship. It is now gone. So it was the headquarters for the search initially in Newfoundland. It's been pulled back, and the Canadian, what is it called? The Canadian investigators, it doesn't really say who it is. Maybe it's the Transportation Safety Board of Canada, actually. They are currently investigating it, looking it over to see what's going on. The U.S. Navy, the U.S. Coast Guard, has taken over the investigation into the actual implosion. So they're the ones investigating that. And basically, it is not looking good. So there's been a bunch of interviews with people that have sent emails and phone calls and letters and you name it to Stockton Rush, basically telling them that this wasn't safe. One of the interviews I saw today was really interesting. It was with Will Conan, his name is. He is the chief of the Marine Technology Society's Submersible Committee. And he basically said that the industry members all raised the red flag. Tina, thank you. Over this sub. And basically we're contacting him constantly saying there wasn't enough testing being done and that it wasn't safe. So if you weren't here a few minutes ago, this sub is the only sub. There's only 10 that can go down 12,000 feet. And this sub is the only one that was not certified. This was also the only sub that was made with a carbon fiber as instead of just titanium. So it was made with carbon fiber and titanium. So it sounds like they may be in some trouble, but again, I'm not 100% sure, but it's not looking good right now. Destiny, thank you. Annie, thank you for the flowers. So hopefully, we find out soon what exactly did happen, but I am more interested in what time it happened. Like, did it happen at the hour and 45 minutes when it went down or no? Okay, sorry, I'll grab some more of your questions again, guys. It imploded. Yes, it did. It was a catastrophic implosion, guys. Oh, I missed that one. I heard a theory that the banging noises came from the ghosts of the Titanic. I've seen that on here as well, yeah. Did they know or register it was about to implode? Agnes, no. So an implosion happens within a fraction of a second. So your brain wouldn't have time to register what your eyes were seeing, and your pain receptors wouldn't even had time to send anything to your brain. Like they wouldn't have had a clue it was coming, and they wouldn't have felt a thing. There would be no debris. There is debris, but it's just from pieces of the sub. There would be nothing else. And it's like, I don't know how big the pieces are, but there were only 5 pieces they were even able to identify as being part of the Titan. Like there was nothing much left at all. Dalton, keep scrolling. No sense to be mean in here. Does the robot have a camera? Yes, it does. So the Victor 6000 that's on the ocean floor right now has multiple cameras. And it is recording everything down there, and maybe we'll be able to see some of that footage. I'm not sure, but if anything comes out, I will update and share posts. So guys, hit follow if you're interested too. Did they actually find the controller? No, they did not. I don't know who made that footage, but it's obviously just like a scam going around. They're just doing it to be funny, I think. I just think people started believing it, and no, they have not. The remote control did not survive that I know of. Have any other family members made statements? Kai, I've only seen a few so far, the aunt and the sister of the 19-year-old. And I think it was the stepson that I've seen, and that is it so far. The sad thing is the Titanic was a sacrifice. A couple billionaires. Little sub was a sacrifice. Oh, I'm not sure what that one means. Yes. So somebody just asked why the Victor 6000 doesn't implode. So the Titan itself, if you picture like a sealed can, it has air inside of it. The air, of course, the pressure on the inside is much different than the pressure on the outside, right? The pressure on the outside of that sub as it gets down further is insane. Like I can't even remember the amount of pressure per square inch, but it's insane. Guys, thank you so much, the game controllers. So because it's pressurized inside, the outside wants to get inside, right? So because it's different pressure, as soon as there's any fault or flaw or leak or anything, the outside pressure just crushes it. It tries to rush in and take over that area. And that's what causes the implosion. The Titanic or the Victor 6000, or any of those ROVs, they're not pressurized. There's nothing inside of it. There's no air inside. It's just like a mechanical robot, right? It's just items. And the Titanic, it would have had windows and things like that. So all the windows, thank you, King. So all the windows would have burst out as soon as it sunk and been gone. But basically what happens is it just crumbles as it goes down, but it's not going to implode because there's not that air pressure on the inside, if that makes sense. What do you think happened to the bodies? Did they burn? Lisa, basically they would have just like liquefied almost, like they would have been gone with the amount of heat that was inside that, and the crushing would have just, it would all go everywhere. No, I'm not an engineer. I'm actually a teacher. But I guess I consider myself a TikTok researcher. This is my hobby. This is kind of my passion. I love looking into this stuff, and I love coming on here with you guys. So I just kind of share everything that I found. Aside from this mission, what are other theories do you deeply look into? I guess it wouldn't be missions that I look into. So kind of my passion are like true crime, I hate to say it, but reality TV, anything like newsworthy, like I'm listening to the news all the time. Anything like this that comes up, it kind of catches my attention. And basically pop culture stuff. So if you notice, if you check out my page, it's just a bunch of everything that I kind of enjoy. It's all the things that I love that I share with you guys, and hopefully other people love them too. The last one that I was kind of working on was the new documentary that came out for the Duggars, Shiny Happy People. So I have done a bunch on that as well. Oh yeah, somebody mentioned that they put screws into the carbon fiber for the television. I have no idea if that damages, thanks King, damages anything or does anything. I'm not sure. Julie does this to raise awareness and update those that care. Lisa, thank you. If you don't, just keep scrolling. Yeah. I don't quite understand the hate when you're covering a topic and people come in and they're like, you're an idiot, or why are you talking about this, or shut up. Like, why are you in here then? Just keep on scrolling if it's not for you. This is just for people who are as interested as me. Thoughts on the wife being held responsible? She worked there, I believe. Yeah, I don't think she would be responsible at all. I mean, I think it's the company in general for not getting it certified and not testing it for long enough. But I think Stockton Rush has a big hand to play in this. He was the CEO and he had the final word, right? How would it get so hot if the ocean floor is so cold? Oh, Lola, so it's all molecules. So, thank you, Nadia. It's all molecules. So inside this like canister, the molecules and the atoms, when this pressure happens, go crazy and they heat up. It's all having to do with that. It's got nothing to do with the water around it. It's all atoms and molecules that would do it. How is that Jim Cameron went down so many times, 33 times from what I hear? I don't know what he went down on. I haven't researched how he viewed the Titanic. I heard another son and dad joined, but they chose not to do it. Yeah, so Seda just mentioned there was another father and son that were supposed to go on this trip, and they had been wheeling and dealing and talking with Stockton Rush. Stockton Rush even came out to see them, arrived where they are. And it is kind of cool or disturbing to note that Stockton actually arrived on like an experimental plane or something like that when he went to see them. But the son apparently dug into it and basically realized it's not safe and they backed out. Did they have any food? Please read. Angela, from what I can gather, so I've seen a couple interviews, and one of the gentlemen who went down in 2021 said that they received a sandwich and a bottle of water to go down. So I think they would have just had a sandwich and a bottle of water. But they probably didn't even get a chance to eat it because it probably would have been for like lunchtime, right? They went down at 8 a.m. So they probably hadn't even have eaten it at that time. To be clear, you said they didn't feel anything, so it's imploded, then they pass. So Cindy, it happens in a fraction of a second. So basically the way it's explained is that your pain receptors, I don't know the exact time, but your pain receptors have to send pain to your brain, and an implosion happens faster than your pain receptors can send pain to your brain. So they wouldn't have felt a thing. So everything happens in a fraction of a second. They're gone in a fraction of a second. What day did they go down, please? They went down on Sunday, and they were about an hour and 45 minutes down when they lost contact. So we think that's when it happened. Alexa, thank you. You're earning money off their deaths on TikTok. I'm actually not. I live in Canada, so I'm not part of the creator fund. So every post that I make, it doesn't matter if I get 12 million views. Like one of the posts I did on this got 11.5 million views. I didn't get a cent from it. I'm in Canada, so I don't earn anything from it. When people gift in here, that is the only thing that would give money for people in Canada. That's the only way you earn money at all is from gifts. So no, I don't earn anything, unfortunately, which is kind of sad because we're one of the only countries I think that don't have access to the creator fund, but I'm just doing this because I love it. Like, love it. What time roughly did they implode? We're waiting to hear. As soon as I hear, I will post it. So hit follow, guys, if you're interested. All we know is that, thank you for the gifts, you guys. All I know is that it happened on Sunday. They were about an hour and 45 minutes down when they lost contact. So I'm assuming it happened at that point, but we don't know for sure. So I'm hoping that the Navy will release that, but they haven't just yet. Thank you guys. Potato. Did you see the job posting from Ocean Gate? Sesame, I didn't. What was it? Guys, thank you for the gifts. That's so kind. It happened 2 hours into the trip. That, I can hear my cat digging at the door to try and get in. Just one sec, guys. Sorry. My cats are indoor cats, but they like to play in my garage. And when they're done, I can hear them. They jump up and hit the doorknob. Sorry. All right. Did you? Oh, Brittany, thank you. Thank you guys, Destiny, Abby. I really appreciate that. You guys are too kind. Thank you so much. Then, oh, I missed that one. Would they have known something was wrong? Some people were saying that, that they supposedly dropped their sandbags. I have not been able to find any reports of that anywhere, on any of the like legit sites that I follow. So I don't think that they did. There was no like SOS calls made or anything like that. And they would have no idea that an implosion would happen because it happens in like a fraction of a second, like milliseconds we're talking. So they would not have been able to even register that it was happening or have any warning that it was coming. Somebody mentioned that they thought there was an alarm when it's going to implode. But if this happens in a fraction of a millisecond and you don't even register to your brain that you've seen this, that it takes longer to go from your eyes to your brain, then I don't know how you would ever hear like an alarm coming. Like I don't think there was any warning. Oh, thanks, Misty. Thanks for watching. How far down would an hour and 45 minutes be? Julie, there's a couple mixed reviews for that. I've seen, unfortunately, on like the trusted sites that I follow, they've all said kind of different things. It sounds like from what I'm going to estimate, but what it sounds like is an hour and 45 minutes down. It takes about 2.5 hours to get to where they want it to be. So I guess that it's about like 1,500 meters, maybe like about halfway is what it sounds like. I've seen reports where they said they weren't quite halfway yet, but I've seen other reports saying that they were. Did they hear the carbon fiber ripping first? No, they wouldn't have heard anything, I don't think. I think with an implosion, it literally is a fraction of a second, so I think it would have just happened. There's always a chance, I mean, something leading up to it, like, I can't even guess what it would be, because I'm guessing if there was any leak or tear or anything like that for an implosion to happen, it would have been instant. So I don't think you would have even had time for something to start breaking. Hazy, how is this insensitive? It was probably a narwhal. The 19-year-old didn't want to go. Thank you, Destiny. No, and the interview with the aunt was absolutely heartbreaking. She basically shared that he didn't want to go. He was terrified, and the only reason he went was because it was Father's Day, and he wanted to spend time with his dad. Thanks, Des. Okay, I'm going to bring up another picture here just so you guys can see another one. This one. Oh. This is Stockton Rush, guys, in the actual vessel in the sub. And this was on one of a different, like a testing mission where he was kind of looking out. So it just gives you kind of an idea of the size. What was the banging noises? They don't know yet. They're being evaluated. They've been sent off for the Navy to look into it, or the U.S. Coast Guard. I think it's the Navy. They're going to be looking into it. What they're saying right now, though, is they think it's like oceanic noises, or else it was another vessel that was around doing the search, unfortunately. Guys, as soon as I hear any updates, though, I will post, so make sure you hit follow. So they died right away. User Robin, thank you. They did. Yeah, they wouldn't have felt anything, guys. They wouldn't have known anything was happening. It would have happened in a fraction of a second. So no, they would not have known any of this was going on. Yes, I did hear that some people were saying that they heard there was an alarm to tell them it was going to implode. I don't think they would have even had time to hear an alarm if there was an alarm for an implosion, because an implosion, Turbo, thank you. An implosion happens within a fraction of a second, so I don't think they would have been able to hear or see anything like that. So they died right away, didn't feel it. Yeah, they wouldn't have felt anything or seen anything. Destiny and Eddie, thank you. What is alarm going to do? Yeah, exactly. I don't believe that there would have been any warning for this at all. I think it just was over, unfortunately. Is the Titan the size of a baseball? No, the Titan's the size of a minivan, and it's cylinder shaped, and it held 5 people. And they paid $250,000, guys, to get on this thing. And here, I'll show you the inside picture. There were no bells, no whistles. Like, the bathroom on this was basically a bucket with a Ziploc baggie. Like, it was It was not fancy at all. All right, so this picture is from 2021. There it is. This is some people inside kind of showing what it looked like. So there's the only window that it had. And of course, the famous PlayStation remote. And they watched this journey basically on their laptops. So they had devices in here to watch whatever was going to be filmed out the porthole with their camera. Aw, thank you. Big fan. I love you guys. JCF, thank you so much. Would there be any chance of life? No, unfortunately, there's absolutely no chance of survivors with this at all for multiple reasons. One, the implosion, everything's just gone, just done. But the other reason is even if they survive the implosion itself, they're down like 1,500 to 2,000 meters. Like there's no surviving that. Can a mod please pin? The submersible imploded. They are not alive. It will be rare they find any remains. Yeah, exactly, Kira. Yeah, unfortunately, they're gone. Thank you so much, you guys, for the gifts. I see that. And you're tapping. I so appreciate that. I read Stockton last minute was offering tickets for 150K. Karen, I didn't read that. I do know that the two gentlemen that were supposed to be on this and weren't have done some interviews, and they've shared kind of the emails and the texting with Stockton Rush. And he had flown out to kind of talk to them about going on the trip. And it was 250 that they were being offered the tickets as well. And they did turn it down. And then they had two other people join. So I did not hear that they were doing a discount price. No. Any bones? Nope. There would be absolutely nothing left. So when an implosion happens, the center is basically hotter than the face of the sun. So think of cremation. Everything's just gone. Like there would be no bones, no teeth, nothing. Do you think they faked their own deaths? I don't, Chris. I know that, I think it was Chris's queen, actually. I know that that conspiracy theory is going around, but I don't believe that. Why would you go to see the Titanic? I wouldn't, Dan. You couldn't pay me enough to get in this thing. They were bolted in this, guys, like bolted in. How many people were there? There were 5 people. There were 4 people that had paid to go on this, and then the CEO, Stockton Rush, who was like controlling the remote. Aw, thanks, MacArthur. Please pin. What's your opinion on why the Navy withheld the info about hearing the implosion on Sunday? So, Cozy, it sounds like they only withheld that information from the public, and I'm assuming they didn't want the family to hear that ahead of time. Unfortunately, I think it got our hopes up. But they immediately reported the implosion sounds. And then they also, as soon as they heard the search was going on, they joined the search and told everyone about the implosion. So that's why the search was in the area that it was because they had heard this noise. But they said that basically the implosion was not definitive. So they couldn't say, yes, it's imploded 100%. So they continued to look for the sub. Does it go up in flames? If so, how does it underwater? Cam, it doesn't really go up in flames. What happens is the inside, the molecules and atoms and whatever go nuts and heat up. And it basically is almost like a pressure cooker. Ah, Megan, thank you. Like a pressure cooker, basically. So it gets hotter than hot, and basically crushes like a can. So it's not really like a ball of flame. I mean, maybe there is flame inside, I guess, but it's more of like a pressure cooker kind of effect. How did the submarine sink? So the submarine is basically like this giant weight, or I don't know what you want to call it. They basically put it in, and it's got a system of like air and weights. So they weigh it down so that it just drops at a certain speed that they want based on the weight and the air they have. And then when they get down, they drop whatever they don't need. And the air takes them to the surface. They actually did have 7 different safety mechanisms on board this thing, supposedly, to bring them to the surface if need be. There was like thrusters, there was air balloons, there was dropping things like dropping sandbags or whatever else was on it. The other thing's kind of neat, and I don't know how it works quite, but there was some sort of setup on it that if it was 24 hours and they hadn't surfaced yet, whatever this product was disintegrated after 24 hours and would automatically bring it to the surface. So it did have some sort of safety things. Why nobody's talking about The Simpsons? Rosie, yeah, we did talk about The Simpsons prediction as well. Yeah, I don't know what there is that The Simpsons haven't predicted. Did they feel it getting hot? No, it happens within a fraction of a second. They wouldn't have known anything happened. They dropped the sandbags. They were found near the field, so they probably knew something. Moni, I think that is rumor. So I have not been able to find that official anywhere. If anyone has, please send it to me. But I have not been able to find confirmation of that anywhere. I think it was like either a rumor or somebody said it falsely or something, but they have not found sandbags that the Coast Guard has released or told us. So I don't think that's accurate. Why are you so invested? I just am. It just caught my attention, and I love this stuff. I love digging into things. I love, posting and sharing and coming on here and chatting with you guys. So I just have been totally consumed with it and looking into everything. I look into it so you guys don't have to. I watch the news so you don't have to. If you're as interested in me, hit follow, and I'll be updating anytime I hear anything new. Why did it take days to get Volt? Dawn, I don't know what that means. How do you know so much? Just research. I've been digging into this since it happened on Sunday. Just like looking at into the experts that are talking about it, watching the news reports, following the Coast Guard, stuff like that. I've just been kind of watching it all. Did they implode right after losing connection or power? By the way, we love you. Brianna, thank you. We don't know yet. I'm assuming it was right after they lost connection, but it hasn't been confirmed yet the time that the implosion happened. As soon as I find out, I will share with you guys though. But all they're saying right now is that they know the implosion happened on Sunday. They haven't told us the time. I'm guessing it was an hour and 45 minutes. Oh, someone just asked about the shoes again. No, they didn't have shoes on supposedly in the vessel. They take them off when they get in. Apparently, from the video I watched. But the shoes that people are talking about, I think they just got wires crossed. I did a post on it with a clip of James Cameron explaining what it is. Basically, what the shoes were is they were talking about the Titanic. So a few years ago, James Cameron did an interview, and I guess there are actual shoes on the bottom of the ocean from the people that perished from the Titanic. So one of the experts came on and said that basically it was whatever. Oh, thank you guys. Redbeard, Oriemi, thank you. Basically, the shoes were coated with some sort of material, like an acid, so that nothing would eat it and they're not disintegrating at a rapid speed. So you can still see shoes, apparently, like pairs of shoes, because the people had been in them, when the shoes landed there. But there's no bones, there's nothing. Like the pressure and the environment down there basically got rid of all of the evidence, very quickly. And all that's left is the shoes. So that's why you're hearing that. Why would they invest in this? Why don't they invest in the Queen Mary? Because it's a bigger ship. I don't know. This is what they want to do. Make a passenger submersible to go down. How much would they have to pay you to get on this? Great TikToker. Thank you. And they could not, I'm not kidding. I wouldn't. Thank you. Who sent that? Hold on. I got to see who sent that. Oh, I missed it. Whoever sent that. Thank you so much for the coral. It's beautiful. Yes, you could not pay me $1 million to get on this. When I get in an elevator, guys, and it doesn't move to my next floor right away, I panic. Jelly, thank you. So no, Kenneth, was it you? Thank you for that, Kenneth. So there's no way I would get on this. I don't know. Would you guys get on this? 500 million? Nope, I couldn't do it. I would be the person on here like clawing to get out, like ruining everyone else's experience, and like it would not be good. It would be all bad. Kenneth! Was it legal though? From what everyone is saying, everybody's saying, nope, never, nope, not me, nope. Yeah, I don't think there's many who would. I mean, you've got to be crazy and completely not claustrophobic in the least to do this. Although look at the cave divers. Have you guys watched videos of the cave divers and what they like climb through and go through? Megan, Jelly, thank you. I mean, that I don't know how they do that either, but yeah. Dang, I missed the whole shoes explanation. Drama Llama, I'll do it again quickly. The shoes were not from the Titan. They were from the Titanic. Basically, when the Titanic sank, when the bodies ended up on the ocean floor, the bodies would have disintegrated and decomposed and other things, as you can imagine, very quickly in that environment and that pressure. But the shoes remain down there, and they're two shoes like side by side because whoever landed there had the shoes on. Doing it, thank you. And basically there's like an acid coating on them from whatever the time period was that they were there. And so nothing has eaten them. So they are still down there on the floor of the ocean. They are not from the Titan though. That's a misunderstanding. Ms., what website's gone? Kenneth! Thank you. Guys, you just got me to 90th. I'm in the dailies again. That's crazy. Did you hear what else happened besides this tragedy? What do you mean? MJ, you can keep scrolling if you're not interested. That's the way TikTok works. It's awesome. You can just keep flipping by if it's not your jam in here. I've been to 1,000 feet. Alan, you went to 1,000 feet in like a submersible? False news. Somebody just said. It is not false news. Why do you think it imploded? So the Coast Guard came on, was it 2 days ago now, yesterday? Or guys, it was, wasn't it? Was it Friday or Thursday? Oh, Kenneth, thank you so much, man. So the Coast Guard did come on and confirm. Kenneth, rock star. So the bottom of the Titanic, where the debris was found, is like this smooth bottomed area, and it's about 200 meters from the bow of the ship. And they found like a debris pile. They were able to identify 5 different pieces. There was a piece of the nose cone, a piece of the tail cone, the pressure chamber, and 2 pieces of the front pressure hull. And the way they were found, the way they were laying, they could determine right away that it was a catastrophic implosion, the way it happened. Why did they continue going after losing connection? By the way, thank you for the info. Oh, Anna, thank you for being in here with me. I don't think they did continue after losing communication. I think that's when the implosion happened, but we haven't been verified that yet. Hopefully the Coast Guard will come on soon and tell us the exact time it happened, but they haven't shared that just yet. What if the ship, it just jumped, hold on. What if the ship was haunted and the ghost did it? I've heard that a few times. So this was because of the material used. That's what they're saying right now, guys. So experts have come out now saying that the rig itself was made of titanium and carbon fiber. And basically what they're saying is that titanium has like some elasticity to it apparently. And in the pressure, it would give a little bit and come out again. Like it would have a little give to it. And supposedly carbon fiber doesn't, but carbon fiber is more buoyant. So that's why Stockton Rush chose to use it, because it's more buoyant. He was allowed to put more people on here and make more money. So they're thinking that what happened was, there's a word for it. I keep forgetting what the word is. Hold on. Oh, not that one. The word is called delamination. So basically it's the separation of the layers. So they're thinking that just how many times this went down weakened the structure, and the titanium was starting to either pull away from the carbon fiber portions of it or something like that. And it just basically caused a weakening and the implosion happened. Aw, thanks, Clara. Carbon fiber is brittle. What happens to the bodies? Unfortunately, they would have been basically liquefied, incinerated, like gone within a second. So was this the first time they had went down? No. So the first time that they did the deep dive test was in 2019. And they've done, Laura, they've done several trips since then. I don't know how many. I'm going to look that up so I'll know next time that we chat, guys. But it's gone down numerous times, and they're thinking, like I'm the expert, they're thinking that just repeated trips have weakened like the hull on it. I read somewhere they've gone down like 21 times. Steve, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know how many times, but it's been multiple. I know there's an interview with a man that's gone down 3 times in this alone, so I'm not sure. Irene, it doesn't sound like they did see the Titanic. It sounds like they were probably an hour and 45 minutes down in a 2.5 hour journey. So I don't think they reached it. What about the whistleblower? So yes, there was an employee in 2018 that filed court papers. He was going to sue them for wrongful termination. And they've gotten a hold of the papers. And basically what it said was he was drawing attention, saying that there was not enough testing done and there were safety concerns. But unfortunately, they settled out of court. So we don't know what was going to be said. Good evening from Nebraska. DJ Lover. Hi, darling. Why did they need to be barefoot? I don't think they were barefoot. I just don't think, I shouldn't say that. I've seen videos of tours of it, and they always took their shoes off when they got in. So I'm assuming they took their shoes off when they got on, but maybe not. I mean, when they go down, it's minus, no, not minus. It's just above freezing. It's like 2 or 3 degrees above freezing. So they definitely would have had to have something on their feet because they would have been freezing with just socks, right? So I don't know if they had like a special kind of footwear they wear. I'm not sure. Was it dark inside? It would have been absolutely pitch dark, no light at all outside the sub. But I believe the sub, I know it had LED lights because Stockton Rush in an interview said he bought them at like Camping World or something like that. Like they were just cheapies. But I know that there would have been lights inside as long as they had power. Ocean Gate website is gone. Is it, Ms.? That's probably not a good sign. Maybe they're getting so much hate. I don't know. Was it actually the submarine that lost connection, or was it the pulley system used? There was no pulley system. They were not on a tether. It was a free dive. Like they were not tethered at all. They used a system of weights and air to get down, and then a system of dropping weights and using air to get up. Can they ever get the Titanic on land? Do you think they will make another submarine? Felita, good question. I don't know if they'll ever bring the Titanic up, or pieces of the Titanic, or if they're leaving it as respect. I'm not sure. I mean, they haven't brought anything. Like there's still so much down there that hasn't been brought up, so I'm not sure. Why did it take so long for the Coast Guard to take action after the Navy informed them? I think the Coast Guard was there right away as soon as it was called in. I know it's quite a distance to get out there, so it did take time to get there. Who were the passengers? Thank you for answering if you do. Oh, you're welcome, hon. Okay, I'm going to put up a picture, guys, of the passengers again. So these are the 5 men that unfortunately have lost their life. I'll keep it big so you guys can see it here. So this is Stockton Rush. He's the CEO, guys, of the company, and he was the one steering with the good old PlayStation remote. This fellow was a professional diver and apparently a researcher for the Titanic as well. Hamish Harding up top, he was a British businessman, a millionaire. They all obviously were millionaires. And the 2 up top was a dad and son and his son. And the son was 19 years old, had just finished his first year in university, unfortunately. All right, let me grab my pictures here. Oh, let's get one of Stockton Rush here. So here is Stockton sitting in the Titan. Please pin. A ship that could recover and rescue on Monday was denied by the Coast Guard. A ship that could recover and rescue was denied by the Coast Guard. Janessia, I don't think that's accurate because it was the fattest system and it was there. It was on its way. It actually just returned to port in Newfoundland today. And it was the one that was going to haul it up if they could find it. Is Ocean Gate a reputable company? I'm thinking not anymore, right? Sheila, thank you. Guys, you got me to 84 in the dailies. Holy Hannah. James Cameron says the Titan passengers probably knew the submersible was in trouble. Yeah, I don't agree with that after looking at what the experts were all saying, Leanne. But some people have told me that they did hear him say that. But I don't think that's true. From what I'm reading, it says that an implosion is a fraction of a second and they wouldn't have known what was coming. If there was something wrong on board, I don't know, but they haven't said that there was any SOS calls or anything like that. Like they legit just lost contact. So we're not sure. I think they faked it and they're not actually dead. Yeah, there's a bunch of conspiracy theories that kind of believe that. How long does it take to get to the ship? So it takes 2.5 hours to descend, and then between 2 hours and 2.5 hours to get down. And then they're down there for about 3 to 4 hours. But it takes them quite some time, apparently, to locate the ship because they're just being directed by the mothership, telling them where to go because they can't navigate. All they have on this is one little port window, and there's no GPS or anything like that. Motor City, Detroit. Hi to you. Thank you. You need to cover the synthetic chicken. I don't know what that means. Would you go visit the Titanic? Absolutely not. I'll sit on the mothership and watch it on the camera though. That would be interesting. Andy, is there a black box? I've had a lot of people ask that. I've tried to find out and I cannot find it anywhere. I'm guessing no, since he cut every corner possible. I doubt he would have spent the money to install a black box. Hello from England. Oh, you're up late. Julie back on the daily rankings, serotonin. I know everybody got me to 34 or 84 with their tapping. Ryan, I am. Welcome back, Ryan. Yeah, if you guys don't know what the dailies are, I don't either. All I know is I think once you get into the top 20, there's like rewards, like you get like your stuff on the FYP more and stuff like that. So the more you tap the screen, the higher I think you get in dailies, and the gifts that people send get you there apparently. I'm no expert though. I'm fairly new, so I don't know how it works, but hello from Middleborough, Kentucky. Middlesboro. Hi, Muriel. Oh my gosh. Morel. I still can't understand how the bodies can just disappear, and how do you know they did not suffer? So it's hard to explain. I know it's tricky, but basically think of an explosion. So if you were in a car with a bomb and it exploded, you wouldn't be found, right? It would just be like remnants. I hate to say that, but you would be gone. It's the same kind of thing with an implosion. So an explosion is the force and the pressure going out. An implosion, thank you. An implosion is all the force and pressure going in. So it basically, the inside gets hotter than the surface of the sun because all the molecules and atoms are going nuts. So it heats up like crazy. The whole thing crumples and basically rips apart and disintegrates. Anything that is like, has any buoyancy at all to it, basically just becomes one with the ocean and like melts away, floats away. Anything that has any weight or anything to it sinks to the bottom, and that becomes the debris pile. Most people don't know about the pink mist. Oh, yeah, that's probably what it would look like, right? Did they have phones down there? I'm assuming they brought their phones down to record stuff, like to video things, but there would be no contact at all because radio waves can't go through water. Julie, I'm going to send you a message on Insta. Thanks, Sarah. Girl, you've been talking about this for a week straight. 4 days, Kayla. Yeah, I posted about it for a week. It's because there's still stuff going on. Like everybody still wants to know what happened. And I'm yapping about it a lot. Is there any sign before it happens? We don't know. It doesn't sound like you would never know that the implosion is happening because it's within a fraction of a second. Whether or not something was wrong beforehand, we don't know, but it doesn't sound like it. Thank you guys. Hello from Corbin, Kentucky. Did it implode before it hit the ocean floor? It sounds like it did. So it sounds like when they were going down an hour and 45 minutes into it, all communication was gone. The pinging was gone. Like everything stopped. So everybody's assuming that's when the implosion happened. We're hoping that the Coast Guard's going to come out and tell the exact time that they heard the implosion. But they haven't yet. As soon as they do, I will definitely update, guys. So hit follow if you're interested. And I did see someone else ask about the sandbags. Some people have commented that they knew something was wrong and that they dropped sandbags. I have not been able to find confirmation of that anywhere, so I don't believe that's accurate. If there's sandbags that were found, supposedly, they could have just, like, when the implosion happened, been dropped. I don't know, but I did not even hear or see anywhere that sandbags were found. Friendly reminder that if you aren't enjoying the live, you can leave. Yes, exactly. We've said that a few times. If this isn't your jam, guys, I totally get it. Just keep on scrolling. No sense dropping mean comments. Come on, that was nothing but a fake ritual to signify our economy tanking. Is the inside the capsule? This inside the capsule. Oh, I'm not sure what you're saying, Candace. But they said the carbon fiber starts to crackle when it's about to implode. I don't know about that. It's a possibility. I mean, maybe they did hear noises first, but everything I'm reading says an implosion is a fraction of a second. I don't think it like starts to implode and then does. It sounds like it just implodes. Like as soon as there's any sort of fault, it's just gone. But again, I'm no expert. I'm just going from what I've found from experts on here and not on here in reputable sites are saying, but I'm not sure. Apparently every time they did a dive, they would always lose communication. Is that true? T, I don't think it was every time, but yeah, they have a few times. Is there any new information? Yes. So the new information that I shared tonight, it doesn't look good for Ocean Gate, but so basically I wanted to know kind of what was going on right now. Hello from Melbourne, Australia. So basically what's going on is the Navy has completely pulled out now. They have left some people there to help out, but that's it. All the ships are gone. The planes are gone. Like all that's done. The only people right now on site are supposedly the motherships that are controlling the ROVs because they're continuing the search on the ocean floor right now. So they're actually mapping out all the debris and trying to find if they can figure out exactly what happened. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but that's what they're doing. So they're mapping out the bottom of the ocean floor right now, all the debris that's down there. But it's now been reported that the Transportation Safety Board of Canada has launched an investigation into the implosion. So the Polar Prince is the mothership that was controlling the Titan. It was the headquarters. It's now been directed back to port in Newfoundland, and it's now being investigated by the Canadian authorities. And the U.S. Navy, is it the U.S. Navy or the Coast Guard? Yeah, the U.S. Navy. So the U.S. Navy is apparently now investigating the implosion itself to see if there was any fault or what was going on. and they've scaled back the search. Only the ROVs are still there, as I said. And there was also an interview that I watched today that was quite interesting. It was with Will Conan, his name is. He's actually the chair of the Marine Technology Society's Submersible Committee. So basically he heads up the committee for submersibles. He actually came on and said that he's been trying to get in touch and talking to the head, like Stockton Rush. He's been sending a bunch of messages and emails and things saying that he needs to get certified, and Stockton Rush has said no. So what he actually came out and said was that he defended the decision not to certify the Titan and said that it could take years, stifle innovation, and it's not sufficient to, getting certified isn't what you need to basically ensure safety. Kind of seems sketchy. But basically this Will Conan that did the interview said that there are currently 10 subs that are able to go to a depth of 12,000 or more feet. And this Titan was the only one that wasn't certified. It was also the only one that was made of a carbon fiber structure. So that alone kind of has a lot of red flags going on. What was the other thing? Oh, and they talked about the carbon fiber material. So it was made of carbon fiber and titanium. And he said that titanium basically has like a little bit of give to it. It can like move depending on the amount of pressure. It has some elasticity, and carbon fiber is like a stiff material and it has no give. So it was not kind of like an appropriate material basically to be made into this sub. But they think that he used it because it's more buoyant. So it allowed more passengers on. Why didn't the mothership on top of the water call for help or search until like 6 p.m.? Savannah, I'm not too sure. So there's kind of mixed reports about that. I don't know. I think they were searching themselves, and then when they didn't surface, they called in kind of the big authorities, but I'm not sure. Did you think that we will ever hear a statement from Rush's wife or the families? KBC, I'm not sure. I don't know. Like, I'm sure their families probably devastated right now, not able to make statements, but I'm not sure. They found the bodies. No, they absolutely didn't. There will be no bodies to be found. I thought she was on live with her. Oh, I don't know what that means. If they heard the implosion, why did they keep going? So what the Navy said was they heard the implosion on Sunday, but it was sounds of what an implosion would be, but there was nothing definitive telling them that it was exactly an implosion. So they have to keep searching until they either find A, the debris, or B, the actual sub. If there's a chance that they can save lives, they can't not do it. All right, guys. I've been on here for what? 2 hours? 2 hours again chatting about this. I'm just going to take this down while I chat with you guys for a sec, just to be respectful. There we go. Okay. So if you guys are interested in this as much as I am, I will be doing more updates. I promise. I'm just invested in this, so you can hit follow if you want more updates, and I'll definitely be doing some more lives. But yeah, I've been on here for about 2 hours, so I should get going. But thank you so much to my mods who are in here, like helping me out with the comments. I love you and appreciate you so much, you guys. Like, way to go. Thank you so much. Oh, I love you. I'll stay on for a few minutes and chat with you guys, Robert. I love you guys.